The tire tracks cut straight through the wildflower meadow, like a scar across sacred ground. Marcus Webb stood at the edge of his south pasture, phone in hand, watching the security footage for the third time. The timestamp read 6:47 a.m. His coffee had gone cold in his other hand. The Mercedes SUV appeared on screen, silver and gleaming in the early Texas sun. It slowed at the private property sign, the one Dylan had helped him paint just 2 weeks ago. Then it accelerated, deliberately. The driver didn't swerve around the memorial marker. She aimed straight for it. Marcus could see her face through the windshield, Vivian Ashford, HOA president from the subdivision next door. She was laughing. Actually laughing. Phone pressed to her ear, gesturing with her free hand like she was telling a joke. The tires crushed purple coneflowers and black-eyed Susans that his 9-year-old son had planted in memory of his mother. Sarah's flowers. Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. Not rage. Not yet. Something deeper. The kind of calm that came before action. The kind he'd learned in field hospitals in Afghanistan, when a soldier's life hung in the balance, and panic meant death. He replayed the footage again. This time he noticed Vivian stopping the Mercedes right in the center of the meadow. She got out, walked to the memorial stone. The granite marker read Sarah's Garden, with 2 dates that still made his throat tight. She took photos with her phone, multiple angles. Then she got back in her vehicle and drove away, leaving fresh ruts in soil that Dylan had turned by hand. The screen door creaked behind him, small footsteps on the porch. "Daddy?" Dylan's voice was soft, still rough with sleep. Marcus turned and saw his son standing in pajamas 2 sizes too big, the ones with cartoon rockets that Sarah had bought for his 8th birthday. She never got to see him wear them. Cancer had taken her 3 weeks before the party they'd planned. "Morning, buddy." Marcus tried to keep his voice steady, normal, the way fathers were supposed to sound when their world wasn't cracking open again. Dylan looked past him to the meadow. Even from the porch, the damage was visible. Crushed flowers, deep tire tracks. The careful rows they'd planted together reduced to mud and broken stems. Someone drove through Mommy's garden. It wasn't a question. Dylan had learned too young that bad things happen to good people, that cancer didn't care about birthday parties or Christmas mornings, that death was real and permanent, and it took the people you loved most. "Yeah," Marcus set down his coffee. "They did." "Why?" The question every 9-year-old asked. The question Marcus had been asking himself for 18 months. Why did Sarah get sick? Why couldn't the doctors save her? Why did Dylan have to lose his mother before he'd even learned to tie his shoes properly? "I don't know, buddy, but I'm going to find out." Dylan walked down the porch steps, across the yard, stopped at the edge of the destruction. He knelt and picked up a crushed flower, purple petals smeared with mud. His small hands trembled. These were for Mommy. Marcus crossed the distance in 4 strides, knelt beside his son, put one arm around shoulders that seemed too small to carry this much grief. "We'll replant them, together, just like before." But why would someone be so mean? Marcus looked at the tire tracks, at the security camera footage still playing on his phone, at Vivian Ashford's laughing face. He thought about the right answer, the one a good father would give. Something about people having bad days or making mistakes. Instead, he told the truth. Some people think power means they can do whatever they want, that rules don't apply to them, that other people's feelings don't matter. Dylan wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "Is that lady one of those people?" "I think so." "What are we going to do?" Marcus looked at his son, really looked at him. Dylan had Sarah's eyes, her gentle heart, but he'd also inherited something else, a spine of steel that showed itself in moments like this. When other kids would be crying, Dylan was asking what came next. Planning, thinking. "We're going to protect our home the right way, with evidence and boundaries and the law. Like how you protected soldiers when you were in the army? Something like that, but different. This time I'm protecting you." Dylan nodded, solemn, old beyond his years in ways that made Marcus's heart ache. "Can I help?" "You already are, buddy, just by being brave." They stood together in the ruined garden, father and son, surrounded by broken flowers and the kind of violation that had nothing to do with property and everything to do with respect, or the lack of it. Marcus had bought this ranch 6 months ago, with the last of Sarah's life insurance money, and every penny of savings from 22 years as an Army medic. 75 acres outside San Antonio, far enough from the city to breathe, close enough to civilization that Dylan could go to a good school and maybe make friends who didn't know him as the sad kid whose mom died. The realtor had warned him. Difficult neighbors, she'd said. The HOA next door can be challenging. Marcus had nodded and signed anyway because he'd made Sarah a promise. In the hospital, 3 days before the end, she'd gripped his hand with what little strength remained. Promise me something. Her voice had been a whisper. Morphine made her eyes unfocused, but her words were clear. Anything. Take Dylan somewhere beautiful, away from hospitals and death and all this sadness. Give him childhood back. Give yourself permission to live again. I can't do this without you. You can. You're stronger than you think. Find land. Raise him right. Teach him about integrity. That's how you honor me. She'd paused. Breathing was getting harder. Each word cost her. Buy that ranch we saw. The one with wildflowers. Plant more. When the wind blows, I'll be here. Marcus had promised. Held her hand. Watched her slip away in the sterile quiet of a hospital room that smelled like antiseptic and the end of everything good. He kept the promise. Found this place. 75 acres of Texas hill country with a creek running through the south boundary and enough wildflowers to make Sarah smile if she could see them. The house needed work, but it was solid. Good bones. Room for a boy to run and heal and maybe remember how to be a kid again. Dylan had cried the first night. Asked when Mommy was coming to see the new house. Marcus had explained again, patient and gentle, that Mommy was gone, but her love was everywhere. In the land, in the flowers, in every sunset. Then this is Mommy's house too, Dylan had said. Yeah, buddy, this is Mommy's house too. They'd spent 6 months turning the ranch into something Sarah would recognize. Not perfect, not finished, but alive, growing. Dylan planted the memorial garden himself, chose every flower, purple coneflowers because they were Mommy's favorite, black-eyed Susans because they bloomed all summer, Indian paintbrush for color. He'd dug every hole, watered every seedling, talked to them like Sarah used to talk to her plants in their old backyard. And now this. Tire tracks through sacred ground, deliberate destruction. Vivian Ashford's laughing face. Marcus pulled out his phone and scrolled back through the security footage. The cameras were new, installed just 3 weeks ago after he'd noticed fresh tire tracks near the south fence. He'd thought maybe teenagers, joyriders, random trespassers who didn't know or care about property lines. But this footage told a different story. Vivian's Mercedes appeared 4 times in the past 2 weeks. Always early morning, always taking the same route across his land, cutting through to save maybe 4 minutes on her commute, using his property like it was a public road. The footage from last night was different, darker, angrier. She'd driven through at 2:47 a.m., not passing through, deliberately destroying the garden, taking photos, making a point. Marcus felt his training kick in. Assess the situation. Identify the threat, plan the response. He'd spent 2 decades keeping soldiers alive in impossible situations. This was different, but the principles were the same. Stay calm, document everything, don't react emotionally. He downloaded the footage to 3 separate cloud storage accounts, backed it up on 2 external drives, sent copies to his personal email with timestamps and location data embedded. Evidence, clean, undeniable. Dylan was still standing in the garden, that crushed flower in his hand. Buddy, I need you to do something for me. Okay. I need you to go inside and get the camera. The good one Aunt Rachel gave us for Christmas. We're going to document all this damage, every flower, every tire track. Can you do that? Dylan nodded and ran toward the house. Purpose helped. It always did. Gave the mind something to focus on besides hurt. Marcus walked the perimeter of the destruction. The tire tracks were deep, aggressive. Whoever drove through hadn't just crossed the meadow. They'd gunned the engine, spun the wheels, intentionally maximized damage. This wasn't about a shortcut. This was a message. Dylan returned with the camera. Together they photographed everything. Wide shots showing the full scope, close-ups of individual crushed flowers, the tire tracks with a measuring tape beside them for scale. The memorial stone, now mud-splattered and surrounded by destruction. Why are we taking so many pictures? Dylan asked. Because when we tell people what happened, they need to see it. Words aren't always enough. Pictures tell the truth. They worked in silence for 20 minutes. Professional, methodical. When they finished, Marcus had over 100 photos. Undeniable documentation of trespassing and vandalism. What now? Dylan asked. Now I go talk to the lady who did this face to face. You stay here with Mrs. Morrison next door. I don't want you anywhere near this. I want to come. I know, but this is grown-up business, and I need to know you're safe while I handle it. Dylan's face said he wanted to argue, but he'd learned obedience in the hospital. When adults said something was serious, you listened. Okay, but you'll tell me everything after, no secrets. No secrets, we're partners, remember? They bumped fists. Their ritual. Something Sarah had started when Dylan was 5 and scared of thunderstorms. Partners face scary things together. Marcus called Patricia Morrison, Trish, the neighbor on the adjacent property who'd brought them a casserole the day they moved in, and had become something like a grandmother to Dylan in the months since. She'd lost her own husband 4 years ago, understood widowhood and single parenting, and the particular loneliness of trying to rebuild a life after loss. Trish, I need a favor. 20 minutes later, Dylan was safely at Trish's house with a promise of fresh cookies and help feeding her chickens. Marcus drove his truck toward Ashford Heights, the gated community that bordered his southern fence line. The development was new, maybe 10 years old. 200 identical houses on quarter-acre lots with strict HOA rules about paint colors and lawn heights and where you could park your car. Everything Sarah had hated about suburban life. Everything they'd wanted to escape. The gate had a call box. Marcus pressed the button for the HOA office. Ashford Heights, how can I help you? The voice was young, bored. Marcus Webb to see Vivian Ashford. Is she expecting you? She should be. A pause. Then the gate rolled open. The HOA office was in a small building near the entrance. Tasteful. Expensive. Everything about Ashford Heights screamed money and control. Marcus parked and walked inside. Air conditioning hit him like a wall. The reception area had leather chairs and a water feature and photos of community events. Smiling families, perfect lawns, the American dream in HOA-approved colors. Mr. Webb? The receptionist looked up from her computer. Early 20s, perfectly styled hair. The kind of professional friendliness that came from customer service training. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Ashford will be right with you. Marcus sat, waited, studied the photos on the walls. Vivian appeared in most of them. Always center frame, always smiling. Award ceremonies, ribbon cuttings, community picnics. The queen of her small kingdom. A door opened, high heels clicked on tile. Vivian Ashford was 54 but looked younger. Expensive highlights, tailored suit, manicured nails. Everything about her said power and control and someone used to getting her way. Mr. Webb? Her smile was professional, cold. What brings you to our office? Your tire tracks through my property. The smile didn't change, but something shifted in her eyes. Calculation. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Marcus pulled out his phone, pulled up the footage, hit play. Her face on screen, laughing, driving through the memorial garden, getting out to take photos. Clear, undeniable. Vivian watched for exactly 3 seconds before her expression changed. The friendly mask dropped. What replaced it was harder, meaner. That's not me? Ma'am, it's clearly you. Time-stamped, date-stamped, high-definition video of your vehicle with your license plate visible. Driving through my private property. Destroying my son's memorial garden for his deceased mother. She crossed her arms. Even if that were me, which I'm not admitting, that so-called private property has been community access for 40 years. There's an easement. There was an easement. It expired in 1998. I have the county records. Those records are wrong. Marcus kept his voice level, calm, the way he'd talk to a frightened soldier. Ma'am, I'm not here to argue legal details. I'm here to ask you, neighbor to neighbor, to please use the main road. My property is private. The memorial garden is sacred to my family. We'd appreciate it if you respected our boundaries. Vivian's laugh was sharp, cutting. Boundaries? You've been here 6 months. I've been president of this HOA for 6 years. That access road saves our residents 4 minutes on their commute. 4 minutes times 200 families times 2 trips a day. Do the math, Mr. Webb. Your convenience doesn't override community needs. It's not about convenience, it's about property rights and respect. Respect? She stepped closer, close enough that Marcus could smell expensive perfume. You want to talk about respect? You moved here from wherever, bought property you clearly don't understand, and now you're trying to block access that's been used since before you ever heard of Ashford Heights. That's not respect, that's entitlement. Marcus felt heat rising in his chest, the urge to raise his voice, to match her aggression. But he'd learned in the military that volume didn't equal power. Calm, controlled strength beat angry volume every time. Ma'am, I have video of you trespassing, multiple instances. I have photos of property damage. I'm asking you nicely one time. Please stop cutting through my land. Use the road you're supposed to use, that's all. Vivian's smile turned vicious. Or what? You'll call the sheriff? File a complaint? Take me to court? Mr. Webb, I've been dealing with difficult property owners for years. You're not special. You're not the first person to try to block community access. And like everyone else, you'll learn that fighting the HOA is a losing battle. This isn't about fighting, it's about basic respect. No. She leaned close, lowered her voice to something almost intimate, threatening. This is about you learning how things work here. I run this community. I've improved property values by 40% since I became president. I've gotten rid of 7 problem neighbors who didn't understand cooperation. You're number 8. And here's how this goes. You can work with me, or you can work against me. But either way, you will learn that I don't take orders from renters playing cowboy on land they don't deserve. I own this land, legally. Completely. For now, the threat was clear, undisguised. Marcus saw it in her eyes. This wasn't a neighbor having a boundary dispute. This was someone who saw his refusal as personal insult, who took challenge to her authority as declaration of war. Ma'am, I'm going to say this one more time. Stay off my property. Use the public roads, respect my boundaries, that's all I'm asking. Vivian pulled out her phone, typed something, sent it, looked back at Marcus with a smile that made his skin crawl. You should talk to your son about respect. I hear he's been having trouble at school, fighting with other children. It would be terrible if someone had to call Child Protective Services about a struggling single father who can't control his aggressive child. The words hit like a fist. CPS, Dylan. The threat was naked and ugly and aimed straight at the only thing Marcus cared about. You leave my son out of this. I'm not doing anything. I'm just concerned about community safety, about children who display violent tendencies, about fathers who might be overwhelmed and not providing adequate supervision. Marcus felt something shift inside him. The calm cracked, not into rage, into something colder, more dangerous, the part of him that had kept soldiers alive by making hard decisions under fire. Ma'am, if you threaten my son again, you'll regret it. Vivian's smile widened. Was that a threat, Mr. Webb? Because I have witnesses who just heard you threaten me. Marcus looked past her, saw the receptionist watching, probably recording on her phone. This whole conversation was a setup. Vivian had planned it, provoked him, tried to get him to say something she could use. He took a breath, let the anger drain away, found that calm center again. No threat, ma'am, just a boundary, same as my property line. You cross it, there are consequences, legal ones. That's not a threat, that's a fact. He turned and walked toward the door. Vivian called after him. You should have sold when you had the chance, Mr. Webb. This ranch will be ours one way or another. Your wife's life insurance money won't save you from legal fees when we're done. Marcus stopped, turned. How do you know about my wife's life insurance? Vivian's smile was answer enough. She'd been digging, researching, preparing. This wasn't random HOA overreach. This was targeted, personal, planned. Marcus left without another word. In his truck, hands shaking on the steering wheel, he called Trish. How's Dylan? Perfect. He's teaching my chickens to play soccer. Well, his version of soccer. The chickens are confused, but he's happy. What happened? She threatened to call CPS. Said Dylan was violent and I was overwhelmed. Silence on the other end. Then Trish's voice, hard and angry in a way he'd never heard before. Marcus, I need to tell you something. About Vivian Ashford. About what she's done to people in this community. Tell me. That night, after Dylan was asleep, Marcus sat at his kitchen table with a legal pad and pen. Started making lists. Documentation, evidence, timeline of trespassing, photos, video footage, county records proving no easement existed. Then he started researching Vivian Ashford. Public records showed she'd been HOA president for 6 years. Before that, she'd been a real estate agent until her license was suspended 4 years ago for ethics violations. Details were sealed, but the fact of suspension was public record. He found her divorce filing 12 years ago. Husband had left her for a younger woman according to court documents, requesting alimony, no children, fertility issues mentioned in the filing. Deeper searching found something else. Property records from 2006. Robert Lancaster had owned Marcus's ranch, bought it in spring of 2006, died in fall of 2008. Construction accident. The property sold 2 months after his death. Seller was listed as Vivian Lancaster, same last name. Marcus felt pieces clicking together. Vivian's husband had owned this land. They'd probably planned to retire here, build their dream home. Then he died, and she had to sell. Probably debts from the accident, medical bills, legal fees. And now Marcus owned it, lived the dream she'd lost. Every time she drove past and saw lights on in the house where she'd planned to grow old with her husband, it must feel like theft. This wasn't about an access road. This was about grief and loss and someone who'd turned bitter instead of healing. Who'd spent 12 years accumulating power through the HOA because it was the only control she had left in a life that had taken everything else. Marcus understood grief, understood loss. He'd buried Sarah 18 months ago, and some mornings he still reached for her side of the bed before remembering she was gone. But grief didn't excuse cruelty. Loss didn't justify targeting a 9-year-old boy. Understanding Vivian's pain didn't change the fact that she was wrong. His phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. "Stop fighting this, you'll lose. They always do." Marcus stared at the message. Someone warning him? Threatening him? He couldn't tell. He pulled up the security camera feed. Live view, nothing unusual. Just his ranch under starlight. Peaceful. Safe. For now. The next morning, Dylan found him at the kitchen table, surrounded by papers and cold coffee. "Daddy, did you sleep?" "Not much, buddy. Had some thinking to do." "About the mean lady?" Marcus nodded, considered lying, decided against it. Dylan deserved truth, even when truth was hard. "Yeah, about her and about how we're going to handle this. Are we going to leave?" The question hit harder than it should have. Marcus saw fear in his son's eyes, the same fear that had been there in the hospital when doctors used words like terminal and palliative care. Fear of losing something else, of being uprooted again. "No, we're not leaving. This is our home, Mommy's home. We're staying." Relief washed over Dylan's face. "Even if the mean lady tries to make us go?" "Especially then. You know what Mommy used to say about bullies?" Dylan thought for a moment. "Stand up to them because they only have power if you're scared." "Exactly. We're going to stand up the right way, with truth and evidence and the law on our side." "What if she's really powerful?" Marcus pulled his son into a hug, felt small arms wrap around his waist. "Buddy, I've seen generals and senators and people who commanded thousands of soldiers. Real power isn't about being mean or threatening. It's about doing what's right even when it's hard. We're going to be powerful the right way." Dylan nodded against his chest, trusting, believing. Marcus hoped he was worthy of that trust. The camera alert on his phone buzzed, motion detected at the south fence line. Marcus pulled up the feed. Vivian's Mercedes, just sitting there at the property line, watching. The timestamp read 6:32 a.m. She was there for 3 minutes, not moving, just parked, staring at the house where Marcus and Dylan were eating breakfast. Then she drove away. The message was clear. "I know where you live. I'm watching. I'm not going away." Marcus downloaded this footage, added it to his evidence file, sent copies to the cloud. Wednesday afternoon, a letter arrived. Official Ashford Heights HOA letterhead, signed by Vivian as president. "Dear Mr. Webb, we have received multiple complaints from residents regarding your refusal to honor long-standing community access traditions. This creates undue hardship for families who rely on the historic route for their daily commutes and emergency access. As a new resident, we understand you may not be familiar with community norms. However, your property obligations include maintaining historic access easements. Failure to comply may result in legal action to enforce community rights. We hope you will reconsider your position and work cooperatively with your neighbors. Sincerely, Vivian Ashford, HOA President." Attached was a petition, 43 signatures requesting he restore access. Marcus read it twice. It was masterful, made him sound unreasonable, framed her trespassing as community tradition, turned his property rights into selfish obstruction. 43 neighbors he'd never met had already decided he was the problem. He showed the letter to Dylan that evening while they fed the chickens. "What does it mean?" Dylan asked. "It means Mrs. Ashford is trying to make me look like the bad guy. She got a bunch of people to sign a paper saying I should let them cut through our property." "But it's our property. Mommy's flowers are there." "Exactly. But sometimes people believe whoever tells the story first. Mrs. Ashford told her story before I could tell ours. Dylan scattered chicken feed thoughtfully. The hens clucked and pecked around his feet. So we need to tell our story? We do, but carefully, with truth. Not just our words, but proof. Like your pictures and videos? Exactly like that. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He walked through the house Sarah had helped him choose, looked at the paint colors she'd picked, the kitchen where they'd planned to cook family dinners, the porch where she'd wanted to watch sunsets. He ended up in what he still thought of as Sarah's office, the room where he kept her books and photos and the journal she'd written during her final months. He'd only read it once, the night after her funeral. It had been too painful to revisit. Tonight he needed her voice, her wisdom, her strength. He opened the journal to a random page, found an entry dated 3 weeks before she died. If something happens to me and someone tries to take what we built, remember this. Protecting our family isn't just about fighting enemies. It's about knowing what's worth fighting for. Our home, our values, Dylan's future. Those things are worth everything. But don't let the battle make you bitter. Stay strong, but stay good. Teach Dylan that winning with integrity matters more than just winning. Marcus closed the journal, felt tears he'd been holding back for days. I'm trying, Sarah, I'm trying. Friday evening, he got Dylan in bed early, read him 2 chapters of the book they'd been working through, tucked him in, kissed his forehead. Daddy? Yeah, buddy? Are you scared? Marcus thought about lying, decided Dylan deserved better. Sometimes, but being scared just means we care about something enough to protect it. Fear isn't weakness. Running away from fear is. You won't run away? Never. We're staying right here. This is our home. Dylan smiled, closed his eyes, drifted towards sleep with the kind of trust only children have. Marcus envied that trust. Wished he felt as certain as he'd sounded. At 2:13 a.m., his phone erupted with alerts. Motion sensors, multiple triggers, south fence line, south pasture, memorial garden. Marcus grabbed his phone and pulled up the camera feeds. 2 vehicles, pickup truck and a sedan he didn't recognize. 4 people in dark clothes, bolt cutters gleaming in infrared camera light. They were cutting his fence. Marcus watched them work. Professional. Fast. They cut through 40 feet of fencing in under 3 minutes. Then the trucks drove through, straight across the memorial garden, deliberately. Engines revving, spinning tires in the soft soil Dylan had turned by hand. One of them had a spray paint can. Walked to Marcus's barn and wrote in letters 3 feet high, "Leave or lose everything." Then they were gone. The whole thing took less than 10 minutes. Marcus called 911, gave his location, described the vandalism. The dispatcher said a deputy would be there within 40 minutes. Rural area, limited coverage. He went to Dylan's room. His son was still asleep, undisturbed. Marcus stood in the doorway and watched him breathe. Peaceful, safe, unaware that someone had just violated their home. That's what this was. Not just property damage. Violation. Someone had come into their space in the dark and destroyed something they'd built together. Left a message promising worse to come. Marcus felt something harden in his chest, the last piece of hesitation falling away. He'd tried being reasonable, being neighborly, being understanding. Vivian Ashford had responded with escalation and threats, and now middle-of-the-night terrorism. The gloves were coming off. Deputy Thompson arrived at 2:47 a.m., late 50s, tired eyes, the look of someone who'd seen too much small-town drama and didn't have the energy for more. He took photos, filled out a report, measured the fence damage. Mr. Webb, I'll be honest with you. Fence cutting is a misdemeanor. Property damage under $500. Even if we catch who did this, it's a fine and maybe probation. They cut through my fence and destroyed my property. That's not serious? Thompson sighed. Serious to you. But the system moves slow. And between you and me, I've known Vivian Ashford for 20 years. When she decides someone's a problem, she's persistent. Might be easier to just let her use the road. Keep the peace. Marcus felt anger flash hot and bright. So your advice is to let someone trespass and vandalize my property because fighting back is inconvenient? I'm saying pick your battles. This is a small community. Making enemies with the HOA president can make your life very difficult. She already made it difficult. She threatened my son. She's been trespassing for weeks. Now this. I'm not backing down. Thompson looked at him with something like pity. Your choice, son. But I've seen this before. Vivian's run off 3 property owners in the past 10 years. They all thought they could fight her. They all lost, sold, and moved away. just giving you the reality. After the deputy left, Marcus stood in his barn looking at the spray-painted threat. Leave or lose everything. He pulled out his phone, took photos from every angle, downloaded all the security footage, backed it up, sent copies to multiple locations. Then he made a call he'd been avoiding. Luke Hernandez answered on the second ring despite the 3 a.m. hour. Marcus, that you? Yeah, sorry about the time. Brother, you call me at 3 a.m. It's not social. What's wrong? Luke had been Marcus's closest friend in the Army. Combat medic team. They'd saved lives together, bled together, came home together. Luke now ran a security company in San Antonio. Marcus explained the situation. The trespassing, Vivian's threats, tonight's vandalism. Luke listened without interrupting. When Marcus finished, there was a long pause. You need help. I need advice. How do I protect my property legally? You need more than advice. You need hardware, security system, real one. And you need someone watching your six. I'm coming up. Luke, you don't have to do that. Brother, we bled together in Kandahar. You think I'm letting you face this alone? I'll be there tomorrow, bringing equipment. We're making your ranch a fortress, legal fortress, everything documented, everything defendable. Marcus felt something loosen in his chest. He wasn't alone. Thank you. That's what brothers do. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we go to work. Marcus hung up, looked at the spray-painted threat one more time. Then he walked back to the house, checked on Dylan, still sleeping, still safe. For now. But the war had started. Vivian Ashford had made her move, shown her hand, proven she was willing to escalate to destruction and intimidation. She'd made one critical mistake, though. She'd given Marcus time to prepare, time to document, time to build his case. And Marcus had learned in 22 years of keeping soldiers alive that preparation beat aggression every time. He sat at the kitchen table and opened his laptop, started writing, timeline, evidence, documentation, every interaction with Vivian, every instance of trespassing, every threat. When Dylan woke at 7 a.m., Marcus was still there, surrounded by papers, running on coffee and determination. Daddy, you look tired. I am, buddy, but that's okay. Sometimes being tired means you're working on something important. Did something bad happen? Marcus considered sugarcoating it, decided Dylan deserved truth. Some people came last night and cut our fence, drove through Mommy's garden again, wrote mean things on the barn. Dylan's face fell, but he didn't cry, didn't panic, just looked at Marcus with those serious eyes that were so much like Sarah's. What are we going to do? We're going to fix the fence, replant the garden, and we're going to make sure it never happens again. Uncle Luke is coming to help us today. Dylan brightened. He loved Luke, called him uncle even though they weren't related by blood. Luke had been at Sarah's funeral, had carried her casket, had held Dylan when the boy finally broke down and sobbed. Uncle Luke is coming? This afternoon, he's bringing equipment to help us protect our home. Like in the Army? Something like that, but legal, smart. We're going to show Mrs. Ashford that this family doesn't run away from bullies. Dylan nodded, solemn and young and trying so hard to be brave. Marcus pulled him into a hug. I love you, buddy. No matter what happens, we're going to be okay. This is our home, Mommy's home, and we're protecting it. Together. Together, Dylan echoed. Outside the kitchen window, the sun rose over the memorial garden. The damaged flowers caught the light. Some were crushed beyond saving, but others were already starting to straighten. Resilient, reaching toward the sun despite the trauma. Like Dylan, like Marcus himself, bent but not broken, damaged but healing. And now they had to prove they could stay that way. Against Vivian Ashford and her HOA power, and whatever else she threw at them. Marcus looked at his son, at the ranch beyond the window, at Sarah's journal still open on the table. They would stay, they would fight, and they would win. Not because winning was easy, but because some things were worth protecting no matter the cost. The memorial garden, Dylan's healing, Sarah's dream, their home, everything that mattered most. Luke Hernandez arrived at noon in a white panel van with his company logo on the side. Tactical Security Solutions, military precision, no nonsense. He climbed out and Marcus saw his old friend for the first time in 8 months. Same lean build, same watchful eyes that missed nothing. The kind of awareness that came from too many combat zones where inattention meant death. They gripped hands, pulled into a brief hug, the kind warriors shared when words weren't enough. You look like hell, Luke said. Been a rough week. I brought toys. Let's make sure it's their last rough week, not yours. Dylan burst from the house and ran straight for Luke. The big man scooped him up like he weighed nothing. Uncle Luke! Hey, little man, you getting taller or am I getting shorter? I'm taller. I measured 3 inches since Christmas. Outstanding. Pretty soon you'll be bigger than your dad. Luke set him down and looked at Marcus. Where do you want to start? They walked the property. South fence line where the cuts were still visible. The memorial garden with its tire tracks and crushed flowers. The barn with its spray-painted threat. Luke took photos, made notes on a tablet, asked questions about angles and sightlines and approach vectors. Professional, clinical, turning Marcus's home into a tactical problem to be solved. Perimeter is your weak point, Luke said. 75 acres is a lot to cover, but we don't need to cover all of it. We need to cover your approaches and high-value targets. High-value targets? The house, the barn, the memorial garden, anywhere Dylan plays regularly. Those are what we protect. They spent the afternoon installing equipment, cameras with night vision and motion sensors, wireless system that uploaded everything to cloud storage in real time. No local recording that could be stolen or destroyed. Everything backed up automatically to 3 separate servers. Luke worked with the efficiency of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Dylan helped, running cable and holding tools, excited to be part of something important. By sunset, they had 12 cameras covering every angle, motion sensors on all major approaches, floodlights on automatic triggers, remote access from Marcus's phone so he could check feeds from anywhere. Now for the fun part, Luke said. He opened the back of his van. Inside were 6 steel bollards, hydraulic, military grade, the kind used to stop vehicle-borne attacks at embassies and military bases. These beauties can stop a truck doing 40 miles per hour, rise and lower in 3 seconds, remote control or automatic based on motion sensors, completely legal for private property, and absolutely impassable when deployed. Marcus looked at the price tag Luke had written on his estimate sheet. $18,000. Luke, I can't afford this. You're not paying full price. These are demo units. I'm writing off half as marketing expense. Call it $9,000, and you can pay me in installments. That's still most of what I have left in savings. Luke put a hand on his shoulder. Brother, what's it worth to protect your son? To sleep at night knowing nobody's cutting your fence? This isn't expense. This is investment in peace of mind. Marcus thought about Dylan's nightmares, about waking up to more vandalism, about Vivian's escalating threats. Do it. They worked into the night, digging, installing, running hydraulic lines and electrical connections. The bollards went in at 6 strategic points around the main gate and fence line, buried deep, invisible when retracted, unstoppable when raised. Dylan fell asleep on the porch swing. Marcus carried him to bed, tucked him in, kissed his forehead, watched him sleep with the kind of fierce protectiveness only parents understood. When Marcus came back outside, Luke was testing the system. He pressed a button on a remote control. 6 steel posts rose from the ground with a deep hydraulic hum. Solid, immovable, a wall of industrial steel. Beautiful, Luke said. Now show me on your phone. Marcus pulled up the app. The bollards appeared as icons. He tapped one. It lowered smoothly back into the ground. Tapped again. It rose. Complete control from anywhere. Tomorrow I'll train you on the full system. Cameras, sensors, automatic responses. But tonight, get some sleep. You've got a fortress now. Nobody's coming through these defenses. Luke stayed in the guest room. Marcus lay in bed staring at the ceiling. For the first time in a week, he felt something close to safe. Morning brought a visitor. Marcus was feeding chickens with Dylan when a car pulled up to the gate. Older model Civic. A woman got out. Early 60s, silver hair, dressed in gardening clothes. She waved. Marcus walked to the gate cautiously, hand on his phone, ready to call Luke. Mr. Webb? Her voice was warm, grandmotherly. I'm Rose Delgado. I live in Ashford Heights. Can we talk? Marcus studied her. She didn't look threatening, but Vivian had sent people before. What about Vivian Ashford, about what she's done, and about how we stop her. Marcus opened the gate, led her to the porch, offered coffee. Rose accepted and sat in one of the rocking chairs Sarah had picked out, looking comfortable, at home. I was Vivian's best friend for 15 years, Rose began, closer than sisters. I was at her wedding, held her hand when she found out she couldn't have children, helped her pack when Robert died and she had to sell this place. Marcus felt something click. This place? This ranch. Robert bought it in 2006. They were going to retire here, build their dream home. He died before they could break ground. Vivian sold it to pay his debts. It broke something in her. Losing Robert, losing this land, losing the future they'd planned. That doesn't excuse what she's doing. No, it doesn't. I'm not here to excuse her. I'm here to help you stop her. Rose pulled out a folder, thick with documents. 8 years ago, Vivian pressured me to give the HOA kickbacks for my landscaping business. I refused. She retaliated, spread rumors, convinced residents to boycott me. I lost everything. Had to close my business, declare bankruptcy. Our friendship died the day I realized she cared more about control than people. She handed Marcus this folder. Inside were financial records, emails, text messages, years of documentation. Vivian's not working alone. She has a partner, Stone Ridge Development. They want to build Phase 2 of Ashford Heights. 200 more homes. Your ranch sits on the key access point. They need your land. And Vivian gets a commission when she delivers it. Marcus flipped through the documents. Bank transfers, corporate filings, an email chain between Vivian and someone named James Sutton at Stone Ridge Development. One email stood out, dated 3 months ago. Web property proving difficult. Recommend aggressive approach to accelerate timeline. Standard commission plus $25,000 bonus for completion by Q4. She's being paid to force me out, Marcus said. $250,000 commission when you sell or they acquire the property. Plus she gets to reclaim the land her husband bought. Win-win for her, loss-loss for you. Why are you helping me? Rose's face hardened. Because I've watched Vivian destroy 12 families in 8 years. Good people. She ran them all off through harassment and legal pressure. Then Stone Ridge bought their properties for half value. It's a pattern, a business model. And I'm done watching it happen. What do you need from me? Permission to testify when this goes to court. And it will go to court. I have evidence of HOA fund embezzlement, kickback schemes, coordination with the developer, everything Vivian's done for years. But I needed someone willing to fight. Everyone else sold and ran, you stayed. Marcus thought about Sarah's journal, about her words on protecting what mattered. I'm not running, this is my home, my son's home. Rose smiled. Good, because Vivian's biggest weakness is her ego. She's used to people backing down. When someone stands up to her, she escalates, gets reckless, makes mistakes. We're going to use that. She pulled out more documents. I also brought something else. Names and contact information for 6 other families she's targeted. 3 sold and moved away. 3 are still fighting. They need to know they're not alone, that there's a pattern, that we can build a case. Marcus took the list. Recognized some of the names from the county records he'd been researching. There's one more thing, Rose said. Vivian has a city councilman in her pocket, Richard Banning. He can fast-track zoning changes, recommend eminent domain seizures. He's the reason Stone Ridge gets away with this. We need to expose that connection too. How? We make Vivian confident, make her think she's winning. Let her get sloppy, record everything, build an airtight case. Then we take it public. Media, law enforcement, federal authorities if necessary. We don't just beat her, we end her. Marcus felt something shift. This wasn't just about protecting his property anymore. It was about stopping a pattern of abuse. About standing up for everyone who couldn't. I'm in. What do we need to do? Rose and Marcus spent the next 2 hours planning. She knew Vivian's patterns, her tactics, her pressure points. Together, they mapped out a strategy. Document everything. Build community support among other victims. Gather evidence of the developer connection. Force Vivian into a public confrontation where she'd expose herself. When Rose left, Marcus felt different, less alone, less overwhelmed. He had allies now, people who understood the fight and were willing to stand with him. That feeling lasted until 10:47 p.m. when his phone exploded with alerts. Motion sensors, multiple triggers, south fence, east pasture, memorial garden. Marcus grabbed his phone, pulled up camera feeds. His stomach dropped. 4 vehicles, 8 people in masks. Not just cutting fence this time. They had sledgehammers, spray paint. One had what looked like a chainsaw. Luke was already moving. He'd set up his own alerts, was dressed and armed in 30 seconds. Do not go out there, Luke said. Let them commit the crimes. Document everything. Call the sheriff. Let the law handle it. Marcus wanted to argue. Wanted to run outside and defend his property. But Luke was right. Confrontation would only escalate things. And he had cameras now, evidence. They watched on the monitors as the vandals destroyed 40 more feet of fence, drove their trucks through the memorial garden again, spray painted the barn with obscenities. One of them took a sledgehammer to the memorial stone. Marcus felt rage building, white hot, barely controlled. That was Sarah's stone, Dylan's tribute to his mother. Luke put a hand on his shoulder. Brother, I know, but stay smart. We've got them on 12 different cameras, clear faces, license plates, everything we need. The whole attack lasted 8 minutes. Then they were gone. Marcus called 911. Sheriff's department said a deputy would respond within an hour. Rural area. Limited coverage. Same story as before. Deputy Thompson arrived at midnight. Same tired eyes. Same defeated attitude. Mr. Webb? Deputy. Thompson walked the property, took photos, looked at the camera footage Marcus showed him. One of the vandals had a distinctive limp, clear facial features visible on 3 different cameras. I recognize him, Thompson said. Brett Simmons. Does security work for Stone Ridge Development. So this is directly connected to the developer? Appears that way, but proving who ordered it is different than identifying who did it. Simmons will say he was acting on his own. Developer will claim no knowledge. What about Vivian Ashford? Thompson sighed. What about her? She's coordinating this, getting paid by the developer. This is organized harassment. Do you have proof she ordered this specific attack? Not direct proof, but the pattern is clear. Pattern isn't evidence in court, Mr. Webb. I can arrest Simmons for vandalism. But connecting it up the chain, that's harder. After Thompson left, Marcus sat on the porch with Luke, both of them staring at the destroyed memorial stone in the distance. They're escalating, Luke said, testing your resolve, seeing if they can break you. They can't. I know, but they don't know that yet, which means they'll keep pushing until they find your breaking point. I don't have one. Not when it comes to protecting Dylan. Luke nodded. Then we need to be ready for worse, because this isn't stopping. It's building towards something bigger. The next morning, Marcus got Dylan up early, before school, sat him down at the kitchen table. Buddy, we need to talk about what happened last night. Dylan's face fell. They came back. They did, broke more fence, hurt the memorial stone. Dylan's eyes filled with tears. Mommy's stone? Yeah, I'm sorry, I know that's hard. Dylan wiped his eyes angrily. Why are they so mean? We didn't do anything to them. Sometimes people are mean because they want something and they don't care who they hurt to get it. Mrs. Ashford wants our ranch. She's willing to destroy things we love to force us to leave. Are we going to leave? Marcus pulled Dylan into his arms, held him tight. No, we're staying. But I need you to be extra careful. Stay close to adults you trust. Don't talk to strangers. If anyone approaches you at school or anywhere else and asks about the ranch or about me, you tell them you need to talk to a teacher first. Can you do that? Dylan nodded against his chest. I'm scared, Daddy. Me too, buddy. Being scared is okay. But we're going to be smart scared. Careful scared. We're going to protect each other and our home. Together, like always. At school drop-off, Marcus talked to Dylan's teacher, explained the situation without going into details, asked her to keep an eye on Dylan. Let him know immediately if anyone suspicious approached. The teacher, Mrs. Patterson, was mid-50s. Kind eyes. The kind of educator who genuinely cared. Mr. Webb, I've heard rumors about your situation with the HOA. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Dylan is a wonderful boy. We'll watch out for him. Thank you. I appreciate that more than you know. Driving home, Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. Mr. Webb, this is Jennifer Chen. I'm an attorney. Rose Delgado gave me your number. Marcus pulled over. Go on. I've been investigating Vivian Ashford and Stone Ridge Development for 3 years. I represent 2 families she forced out. I'd like to take your case pro bono. Why pro bono? Because Vivian Ashford destroyed my best friend's life 10 years ago. Drove her to bankruptcy. I've wanted to nail that woman ever since, but I needed the right case, the right plaintiff. Rose says you're not backing down, that you're willing to fight. I am. Then I want to represent you. I'm good at what I do. I win. And I particularly enjoy winning against bullies who abuse power. They met that afternoon at a coffee shop in San Antonio. Jennifer Chen was 52. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. She radiated competence and controlled fury. She listened to Marcus's story, reviewed his documentation, watched the security footage, examined Rose's evidence, made notes on a legal pad with writing so precise it looked printed. This is solid, she said. Multiple counts of trespassing. property damage, harassment, conspiracy, and if we can prove coordination with the developer and city councilman, we're looking at racketeering, federal charges. How long will this take? Jennifer tapped her pen against her legal pad, thinking, calculating. Months, maybe a year. These things don't move fast. But I can get you a restraining order within a week. Force Vivian to stay 500 feet from your property. If she violates it, that's contempt, jail time. She'll just send other people. Let her try. Every violation is more evidence. Every escalation helps our case. The goal isn't to stop individual attacks. It's to build a pattern so undeniable that when we go to trial, she has no defense. Marcus thought about Dylan, about Sarah's dream, about the families Rose had mentioned who'd given up and run. What do you need from me? Keep documenting, keep your cool, don't retaliate no matter how much you want to. Stay on the moral high ground. Let Vivian destroy herself. She will. Narcissists always do when someone refuses to back down. Over the next week, Marcus fell into a routine. Document everything. Check cameras obsessively. Keep Dylan close and safe. Meet with Jennifer and Rose to plan strategy. They filed for the restraining order. Jennifer submitted a mountain of evidence. Videos, photos, timeline of harassment, Deputy Thompson's incident reports, everything organized and professional and undeniable. The hearing was set for the following Thursday. Wednesday evening, Vivian made her move. The HOA called an emergency community meeting. Subject: property dispute affecting community safety and access. Rose called Marcus immediately. She's going to try to turn the community against you publicly, make you look like the villain. You need to be there. Will I be allowed to speak? Probably not, but Jennifer should come as your attorney. I'll be there too. We need witnesses to whatever she says. Thursday at 7 p.m., the Ashford Heights Community Center was packed. Over 100 residents, curious, concerned, ready for drama. Marcus walked in with Jennifer beside him, felt every eye turn toward him. Whispers, pointing. He recognized some faces from the petition against him. Others were strangers. He found a seat in the back. Jennifer sat next to him, calm, professional, a wall between Marcus and the hostility. Rose sat 3 rows ahead, gave him a small nod. Vivian stood at the front, professional, perfectly dressed, master of her domain. She had a PowerPoint presentation ready. Thank you all for coming, she began. Tonight we address a serious threat to our community safety and property values. She clicked to the first slide, a photo of Marcus's ranch, his gate, his private property signs. Marcus Webb purchased property adjacent to Ashford Heights 6 months ago. Since then, he has systematically blocked historic community access routes, created safety hazards, and responded to reasonable requests with hostility and threats. The crowd murmured. Marcus felt anger rising. Every word was a distortion, a lie wrapped in truth. Next slide, photos of the old access road, cars using it, timestamps going back years. This route has served our community for decades. It provides crucial emergency access, saves time for working families, and was established long before Mr. Webb arrived. She was rewriting history, making trespassing sound like tradition. Next slide, a photo of Dylan's fight at school. The image made Marcus's son look violent, aggressive. Mr. Webb's son has displayed concerning behavioral issues at school, violence toward other children. His father, a veteran with documented combat service, may be struggling with PTSD that affects his judgment and parenting ability. The words hit like bullets. She was attacking his mental health, his son, using Dylan's one fight, his one moment of defending himself, as proof of dysfunction. Marcus started to stand. Jennifer's hand on his arm stopped him. Not yet, she whispered. Let her hang herself. Vivian continued. Coached testimonials from residents. Crying mother worried about emergency ambulance access for her elderly parents. Father concerned about his children's safety near an unstable neighbor. Real estate agent lamenting dropping property values. All of it scripted, rehearsed, designed to paint Marcus as dangerous and unreasonable. Then Vivian's final slide, a proposal. The HOA is prepared to offer Mr. Webb fair market value for a permanent easement across his property. This maintains community access while compensating him for any inconvenience. We ask the community to support this reasonable solution. Applause, loud, sustained. The crowd was with her. Marcus felt the trap closing. Vivian had told her story first, shaped the narrative, made herself the reasonable one and him the problem. She opened the floor for questions. Hands went up immediately. Has Mr. Webb threatened anyone? Vivian paused dramatically. I don't want to speak ill, but yes, he's made comments that I found personally threatening. I've documented everything. More questions. More carefully crafted answers. Vivian was a master manipulator, spinning truth into fiction, making herself the victim. Then Rose stood. Vivian, may I ask a question? Vivian's smile froze, just for a second, then recovered. Of course, Rose. You say this access route is historic and essential, but county records show the easement expired in 1998. There's been no legal right-of-way for 26 years, isn't that correct? Murmurs in the crowd, people pulling out phones to search. Vivian's jaw tightened. The technical expiration doesn't override decades of established use and community reliance. Actually, in property law, it does. Jennifer stood. I'm attorney Jennifer Chen, representing Mr. Webb, and I'd like to address the community if I may. Vivian looked like she wanted to refuse, but the crowd was watching, waiting. Briefly, Jennifer walked to the front, calm, commanding. She connected her own laptop to the projector. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Ashford has presented one version of events. Let me show you another. She played the security footage. Vivian driving through the memorial garden, laughing on her phone, getting out to take photos. Clear, undeniable. The crowd went silent. This is Mr. Webb's private property. The memorial garden his 9-year-old son planted for his deceased mother. Mrs. Ashford has trespassed repeatedly. This isn't about community access. This is about deliberate harassment. Next, she showed the vandalism footage, fence cutting, the destroyed memorial stone, Brett Simmons's face clearly visible. This man works for Stone Ridge Development. The same developer partnered with your HOA president. This isn't random vandalism, this is coordinated intimidation. The crowd's energy shifted, confused, uncertain, looking at Vivian for explanation. Vivian tried to recover. Those videos are taken out of context. Mr. Webb is clearly unstable and has manufactured this entire situation to make himself look like a victim when he's actually the aggressor. Rose stood again. Vivian, should we talk about the $200,000 missing from HOA accounts? The shell companies receiving payments for work never performed? Your personal financial interest in Stone Ridge Development acquiring Mr. Webb's property? The room erupted, shouting. Questions, demands, and for answers. Vivian's face went red. That's slander! Rose, you're bitter about your failed business and you're using this outsider to attack me. I'm bitter that you destroyed my business when I wouldn't give you kickbacks. Rose shot back. And Mr. Webb isn't an outsider. He's a homeowner being victimized by a corrupt HOA president, working with developers to line her own pockets. The meeting dissolved into chaos. People yelling, taking sides, some defending Vivian, others demanding investigations. Marcus watched Vivian's control slip, saw her narcissism take over. She couldn't handle being challenged, being questioned, in front of her community. She grabbed the microphone. You people are fools. I've been protecting your property values for 6 years. I've improved this community. And you turn on me because some veteran with PTSD and his violent kid show up with lies and manipulated videos? The room went quiet. Even her supporters looked shocked. Jennifer smiled. Marcus understood why. Vivian had just publicly admitted she knew about the videos, confirmed she'd seen the evidence, and attacked a 9-year-old child and a veteran's mental health. All on the record in front of witnesses. Marcus stood, calm, quiet. The room turned to him. Mrs. Ashford, I'm sorry you lost your husband. I'm sorry he died before you could build your dream on land that's now mine. I understand grief. I buried my wife 18 months ago. But grief doesn't excuse cruelty. Loss doesn't justify targeting a child. I came to this community for peace. You brought war, and you're going to lose. He walked out. Jennifer and Rose followed. Behind them, the meeting descended into shouting matches and demands for Vivian's resignation. In the parking lot, Rose was grinning. Did you see her face? She completely lost it, attacked you personally, admitted she knew about the evidence. In front of 100 witnesses. Jennifer nodded. This is perfect. Everything she said can be used in court. She just destroyed her own credibility. Marcus felt exhausted. Is it always this ugly? Fighting bullies? Yes, Jennifer said. But you just won a major battle. The community saw who she really is. That changes everything. They were right. Over the next 3 days, Marcus received 15 calls from Ashford Heights residents. Apologies, offers of support. People who'd signed the petition asking to remove their names. The woman who'd worried about ambulance access called to apologize. I didn't know the full story. Vivian told us you were dangerous. I'm sorry I believed her. The father, concerned about safety, called. My son is in Dylan's class. He says Dylan's the nicest kid in school. I feel terrible. One by one, Vivian's support eroded. People fact-checked her claims, found the county records, saw the truth. The HOA called an emergency vote. Remove Vivian as president pending investigation of financial irregularities. The vote was 87 in favor, 42 against. Vivian was out, but she wasn't done. Friday morning, Marcus was working in the barn when a tow truck pulled up to his gate. Behind it, Vivian's Mercedes. Behind that, a sedan with a woman holding a video camera. Marcus's phone buzzed. Luke, watching from cameras. Brother, you've got company. Multiple vehicles. Vivian's there. This looks planned. Marcus grabbed his phone, started recording, walked to the gate. Vivian got out of her Mercedes, dressed like she was going to court. Professional, camera ready. Her friend Brenda beside her, also filming on her phone. Mr. Webb! Vivian's voice was loud, performative, for the cameras. You're in violation of HOA emergency access protocols. Your vehicle is blocking the designated community route. I'm having it towed. Marcus looked at his truck, parked on his own property, nowhere near any route. Ma'am, this is private property. You're trespassing. This is a legally designated emergency access road. I have authorization. She waved papers. Official looking, probably as fake as everything else she'd produced. Ma'am, leave my property, now. I don't take orders from you. The tow truck driver got out. Young guy, looked nervous, probably had no idea what he was walking into. Sir, Marcus addressed him directly. This is private property. There's no legal basis for towing. If you hook my vehicle, that's theft. I have everything on camera and I will press charges. The driver looked at Vivian, at Marcus, at his tow truck. Lady, if this is private property, I can't tow without a police order. I have authorization from the county. Then show me the paperwork. Vivian fumbled, clearly didn't have real authorization. The tow truck driver shook his head. I'm out, not risking my license on this. He got back in his truck and left. Vivian's face went from confident to furious in seconds. She turned on Marcus. You think you've won? You think embarrassing me at a community meeting changes anything? I think you're trespassing and I'm asking you to leave. This land should be mine. My husband bought it. We were going to build our life here. And you show up with your dead wife's money and steal my dream. There it was, the real reason. Not access roads, not community needs, jealousy, rage that Marcus was living the life she'd lost. Mrs. Ashford, I'm sorry for your loss, but this is my property, legally purchased, and your grief doesn't give you the right to destroy what my family built. She stepped closer. Close enough to invade his space. Her voice dropped to something venomous. Your son will pay for this. Your precious Dylan. I'll make sure Child Protective Services knows about the dangerous environment you're creating. The unstable veteran playing soldier on a ranch he can't afford. The boy displaying violent tendencies. They'll take him away from you. Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. She'd just threatened his son. On camera. Clearly. Unmistakably. Ma'am, you just made a serious mistake. The only mistake was letting you stay this long. But don't worry, I have friends, powerful friends. They'll make sure you lose everything. Your ranch, your son, your dignity. Just like cancer took your wife. She weaponized Sarah's death. Again, deliberately, cruelly. Marcus pulled out his phone. Showed her the screen. Recording. Everything captured. Every word. Time-stamped. Cloud uploaded. You just threatened a child and used a deceased woman's memory as a weapon. On video, in front of witnesses. Vivian's face went pale, then red, then purple with rage. You set me up! No, ma'am, I just gave you enough rope. You hanged yourself. Brenda grabbed Vivian's arm. We need to go, now. But Vivian jerked free, lost all control, screamed at Marcus with pure hatred. I'll destroy you. I have lawyers. I have money. I have connections. This isn't over. Yes, ma'am, it is. You're facing criminal charges, civil lawsuits, federal investigation. You're done. She lunged at him, actually tried to attack him physically, nails out, face twisted with rage. Marcus stepped back, avoided her easily. She stumbled. Brenda caught her. Luke appeared from the barn, moved between them. Didn't touch Vivian, but his presence stopped her cold. Ma'am, you need to leave right now before this gets worse for you. Vivian looked at Luke, at Marcus, at the cameras she now understood were everywhere. She got in her Mercedes, slammed the door, peeled out in a spray of gravel. Marcus stood there shaking, not from fear, from the adrenaline of confrontation, from the ugliness of watching someone self-destruct. Luke put a hand on his shoulder. "You okay?" Yeah, she just confessed to everything. Threatening Dylan, acknowledging the harassment, admitting her real motive, all on video. "Send it to your lawyer, now," Marcus did. Within 10 minutes, Jennifer called back. "Marcus, this is gold." She admitted conspiracy, threatened a minor, confirmed the pattern. "I'm filing emergency motions tomorrow, restraining order, stalking charges, everything." That night, Marcus tucked Dylan into bed. His son had been at Trish's house all day, safe, unaware of the confrontation. "Daddy, is the mean lady still being mean?" She was today, but she made mistakes, big ones. And now she's going to face consequences. What kind of consequences? The kind that means she can't hurt us anymore. Dylan thought about that. "Good. I want to feel safe again." Marcus kissed his forehead. "You will, buddy. I promise. We're almost through the worst of it." After Dylan fell asleep, Marcus sat on the porch with a beer. First alcohol he'd had in weeks. Luke joined him. "Hell of a week," Luke said. "That's an understatement." "She's going to escalate, you know that, right? People like her, when they lose control, they get desperate, dangerous." "Let her try. We've got cameras, we've got evidence, we've got allies, and we've got the law on our side now." Luke nodded. "Just stay alert. Desperate people do desperate things." Marcus looked at the memorial garden in the darkness. The damaged flowers, the broken stone, all the violations and attacks. But they were still here, still standing, still fighting. Sarah would be proud. Dylan was safe. The community was turning. Vivian was collapsing. They were winning. The question was what Vivian would do when she finally accepted she'd lost. People who built their identity on control and power didn't surrender gracefully. They fought until they destroyed themselves or everyone around them. Marcus took another sip of beer, watched the stars, listened to the night sounds of his ranch. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight, for the first time since this started, he felt something close to hope. They were going to make it. Him and Dylan, this ranch, this dream. Sarah's legacy would survive. And Vivian Ashford's reign of terror was ending. The restraining order came through on Monday. Judge Patricia Valdez reviewed the evidence and didn't hesitate. 500 feet. Vivian Ashford was not to come within 500 feet of Marcus Webb, his son, or his property. Violation meant immediate arrest and contempt charges. Jennifer Hand delivered it herself, drove to Vivian's house with a sheriff's deputy as witness. Vivian accepted the papers at her door, said nothing, slammed the door in their faces. But Marcus knew better than to think a piece of paper would stop her. Restraining orders protected people who respected the law. Vivian had proven she didn't. That night, he sat with Dylan on the porch, teaching his son to identify constellations the way Sarah used to. Orion's Belt, the Big Dipper. Cassiopeia. "Daddy, why are the stars so far away?" "Because some beautiful things need distance to appreciate properly. Too close and you can't see the whole picture." Dylan thought about that. Like how we had to move away from the city to see how pretty the ranch is. "Exactly like that, buddy. Oh, buddy." They sat in comfortable silence, the kind of peace that came after storm, temporary but precious. Marcus's phone buzzed, text from unknown number. "She's not done, watch yourself." He deleted it without a responding. Probably someone from Ashford Heights. Could be a threat, could be a warning. Either way, he was already watching. Tuesday morning brought a surprise visitor. Marcus was repairing fence when a white Mercedes pulled up to the gate. For a second, his heart jumped, thinking Vivian had violated the order already. Then he saw the driver. Younger woman, late 20s, professional clothes, nervous energy. She got out and waved tentatively. Marcus approached cautiously, hand on his phone. "Mr. Webb, I'm Allison Lancaster, Vivian's niece. Can I talk to you?" Marcus studied her. She had Vivian's eyes, but softer, kinder, no malice in her expression. Just exhaustion and something that looked like shame. About what? About my aunt. About what she's doing, about why. He let her in, took her to the porch, offered water. She accepted gratefully and sat on the edge of the chair like she might need to run. "I don't know if you know this, but Vivian's husband Robert was my uncle. He died when I was 16. I watched what it did to her. She loved him more than anything. When he died, something broke. She became someone I didn't recognize. Allison pulled out her phone, showed Marcus a photo. Robert and Vivian on their wedding day, young, happy, full of hope and future. This ranch was their dream. Uncle Robert talked about it constantly. The house they'd build, the life they'd have. He bought it 2 years before the accident. They were planning to break ground the summer he died. I know, Marcus said quietly. I found the property records. Then you understand. This land isn't just real estate to her. It's every dream she lost. Every future that died with him. Seeing you here, living the life she was supposed to have, it's breaking her all over again. That doesn't excuse what she's done. No, it doesn't. I'm not here to excuse her. I'm here to warn you. My aunt is sick. Not physically, mentally. She's obsessed. When she fixates on something, she doesn't stop. Ever. And right now she's fixated on destroying you. Allison leaned forward. Urgent. Scared. Mr. Webb, the developer, Stone Ridge, they're not just business partners. They're dangerous. The CEO, James Sutton, has connections to people who make problems disappear. I've heard my aunt on the phone with him, talking about escalation, about permanent solutions. I think she's planning something bad. Like what? I don't know specifics, but I heard her say your name, and Dylan's name, and the word accident. Please, protect yourself. Protect your son. After she left, Marcus called Jennifer immediately. We need to talk, now. They met at her office. Jennifer listened to everything Allison had said, made notes. Her expression grew darker with each detail. If Sutton's involved directly, this is bigger than HOA harassment. Stone Ridge Development has been investigated twice by the FBI for real estate fraud. Never enough evidence to prosecute. But there's smoke everywhere. What do we do? Jennifer tapped her pen against her legal pad, thinking, calculating. We set a trap. Make Vivian believe she's winning. Get her and Sutton on camera together admitting to conspiracy. Then we hand everything to federal authorities. How do we make her think she's winning when she just lost everything? We make you look defeated, broken, ready to surrender. You leak to someone you know will tell her that you're considering selling, that the stress is too much, that Dylan's having nightmares and you can't do this to him anymore. Marcus thought about Dylan, about the nightmares that were real, about how close to true that story actually was. And then? Then she'll come. She won't be able to resist. She'll want to see you broken, want to claim victory. And when she does, we'll have cameras, witnesses, everything we need. What about the danger? Allison said they're talking about accidents. That's why we involve law enforcement from the start. Sheriff's Department on standby, everything documented. We control the environment, make it public enough that they can't do anything violent without immediate consequences. Marcus looked out Jennifer's office window. San Antonio skyline, people going about normal lives, not fighting for their homes, not worried about developers and corrupt HOA presidents and threats against their children. When do we do this? This week, before they make their move. We need to control the timing. They spent the next 2 hours planning every detail, every contingency. Marcus felt like he was back in the army. Mission planning, threat assessment, extraction routes. The plan was simple. Marcus would let slip to Carol, the neighbor who'd been feeding information to Vivian, that he was done fighting. That Stone Ridge had made an offer and he was considering taking it. Just wanted the nightmare to end. Vivian would hear within hours. She'd call, offer to facilitate the deal, insist on meeting at the ranch to finalize terms. And when she came, everything would be ready. Cameras, witnesses, law enforcement, a trap so complete she'd walk right into it and seal her own fate. Wednesday morning, Marcus made his move, ran into Carol at the feed store in town, made sure he looked tired, defeated, worn down. Marcus, how are you holding up? He sighed heavily, deliberately. Honestly, Carol, not great. This whole thing with the HOA, the legal battles, Dylan having nightmares. I don't know if it's worth it anymore. Carol's expression shifted, sympathetic but hungry for information. What do you mean? Stone Ridge made another offer, more money, enough to buy something else, somewhere quiet, away from all this conflict. I'm thinking about taking it. Really? But you fought so hard. For what? A piece of land? Dylan's mental health is more important. Sarah would want me to put him first. Maybe fighting was the wrong choice. He could see Carol mentally composing the message she'd sent to Vivian before he even finished talking. Well, you have to do what's right for your family. Yeah, that's what I keep telling myself. 2 hours later, his phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Webb, this is James Sutton from Stone Ridge Development. I understand you might be reconsidering our offer. Marcus let silence hang for a moment, like he was wrestling with the decision. I'm considering a lot of things. I'd like to meet. Discuss terms. We can make this very beneficial for you. Move on from all the unpleasantness. I don't know. Mr. Webb, I'm prepared to offer $2.3 million. Significantly above market value. Cash deal. Close in 30 days. You and your son can start fresh somewhere peaceful. No more conflict. No more stress. Marcus closed his eyes, thought about Sarah, about her journal, about the promise he'd made. I need to think about it. Of course. But the offer expires Friday. After that, things get complicated. The city is considering eminent domain for road expansion. Much less money, much more hassle. Better to take the generous offer while it's available. There it was. The threat wrapped in business talk. Where would we meet? Your property. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll bring my attorney and the paperwork. Mrs. Ashford will facilitate as HOA liaison. We can have everything signed by end of day. Mrs. Ashford has a restraining order against her. This is official business, property transaction. The order doesn't apply to legitimate business conducted with your consent. You are consenting, correct? Marcus felt sick, but he played his role. Fine, 2 p.m., but I want to review everything carefully before signing anything. Of course, we'll see you tomorrow. After hanging up, Marcus immediately called Jennifer, Rose, and Luke. Conference call. They took the bait, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Jennifer sounded satisfied. Perfect. Here's what we do. The plan came together with military precision. Luke would position additional cameras, hidden, high definition, covering every angle. Rose would watch from Trish's property with binoculars and a backup camera. Jennifer would be present as Marcus's attorney. Sheriff's department would be on standby 2 minutes away. Most importantly, Dylan would be far away, safe with Trish at her sister's house 40 miles out. No chance of him witnessing whatever happened. That evening, Marcus explained to Dylan that he was going to stay with Miss Trish for a day or two. Special trip. Adventure. Dylan looked at him with those two old eyes. You're doing something dangerous tomorrow. That's why you're sending me away. Marcus knelt in front of his son, held his shoulders. I'm doing something that needs to be done, and I need to know you're safe while I do it. Can you trust me on this? Will you be okay? I promise. This is almost over, buddy. One more day and we can start healing for real. Dylan hugged him tight. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, more than anything. Trish picked Dylan up at 6 a.m. Thursday. Marcus watched them drive away, felt a piece of his heart go with them, but also felt the freedom that came with knowing his son was protected. Now he could focus completely on what came next. Luke arrived at 7 a.m. with equipment. They spent the morning positioning cameras, 6 new ones in addition to the existing system. Every angle of the driveway and front yard covered. Audio recording devices. Wireless. Uploading to cloud storage in real time. By noon, the ranch was wired like a surveillance installation. Nothing would happen without being captured in high definition from multiple angles. Jennifer arrived at 1 p.m., professional, calm, carrying a briefcase full of legal documents and recording equipment of her own. You ready for this? Marcus looked at the memorial garden, at Sarah's stone, now repaired, at the wildflowers Dylan had replanted, at everything they'd fought to protect. I'm ready. At 1:47 p.m., the cars started arriving. First came Vivian's Mercedes. She parked at the gate, didn't get out, just sat there, watching, probably checking that Marcus was alone and vulnerable. Then a black Escalade, tinted windows expensive, James Sutton and his attorney. Finally, a sedan. The woman with the camera from the tow truck incident. Brenda, here to document what they thought would be Marcus's surrender. Marcus stood on his porch, forced himself to look defeated, shoulders slumped, tired, every inch the broken man who'd given up. Luke was in the barn, hidden, watching monitors, hand on his phone ready to call sheriff's department. Rose was at Trish's with binoculars and telephoto camera, recording from distance. The trap was set. Vivian got out first. Despite the restraining order, Marcus had agreed to the meeting so technically she could claim business exception. She looked triumphant, vindicated, like she'd won and knew it. Sutton emerged from the Escalade. Late 50s, expensive suit, shark's eyes, the kind of man who measured success in dollars and didn't care who got hurt along the way. His attorney followed, woman in her 40s, ice cold, briefcase in hand. Brenda positioned herself to film, making sure she captured Marcus's humiliation. They approached the porch, confident, predatory. Mr. Webb. Sutton extended his hand. Marcus shook it, felt the performative dominance in the grip. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Let's get this over with. They moved to the porch table. Marcus had set it up deliberately. Within range of 3 hidden cameras and 2 audio devices, everything would be captured. Sutton laid out papers. Purchase agreement, $2.3 million, 30-day close. Marcus would vacate and transfer clear title. This is generous, Mr. Webb. You won't find a better offer. Marcus looked at the numbers, at Vivian's barely concealed smile, at Brenda recording his defeat. Before I sign anything, I need to understand why you're offering so much over market value. Sutton exchanged glances with his attorney, calculating. Location, development potential, your property is key to our expansion plans. Phase 2 of Ashford Heights. Exactly. 200 new homes. Your land provides essential access. And if I refuse? Vivian leaned forward, couldn't help herself. Had to participate in the victory. Then you'll lose it anyway. Eminent domain. City Council will designate this land for road expansion. You'll get a fraction of what we're offering, and it will take years. Legal fees, stress, your son suffering through it all. Marcus looked at her. The City Council? You mean Councilman Banning? Richard has been very supportive of community development, yes. Because you've coordinated with him, paid him to recommend seizures, used your HOA position to identify properties and force out owners so Stone Ridge can buy cheap. Silence, tension crackling. Sutton's attorney intervened. Mr. Webb, let's focus on the offer. But Marcus pressed. How many families have you done this to? Harass them through the HOA, vandalize their property, threaten their children until they sell below value? Vivian's mask cracked. We didn't threaten anyone. We created opportunities for motivated sellers. Motivated by vandalism, by CPS calls, by middle-of-the-night fence cutting. Sutton's expression hardened. Mr. Webb, you're making serious accusations. Unfounded accusations. I suggest you be careful. Am I unfounded? Brett Simmons works for your company. He's on camera cutting my fence, destroying my property. That's not accusation, that's fact. The attorney stood. This meeting is over. Mr. Webb clearly isn't negotiating in good faith. Sit down, Sutton said quietly, dangerously. We're not done. The attorney sat. Sutton leaned back, studied Marcus like a specimen. You think you're clever, gathering evidence, building a case, but you don't understand how this works. I've acquired 37 properties in 4 states using exactly these methods. Nobody stops us. Because we have resources you can't imagine. Legal teams, political connections. And when necessary, we have solutions for problems that don't respond to legal pressure. Solutions like accidents. Sutton smiled, cold, reptilian. Accidents happen, Mr. Webb. Houses burn, equipment fails, people get hurt, random misfortune, nothing we can control, but statistically, people who fight us tend to experience more misfortune than those who cooperate. There, confession, threat, admission of pattern, all on camera. Jennifer had been silent until now, playing her role as defeated attorney. Now she spoke. Mr. Sutton, are you threatening my client with physical harm if he doesn't sell? I'm stating facts. Correlation isn't causation. But the data is clear. Cooperation leads to prosperity. Resistance leads to problems. Vivian jumped in. Couldn't resist adding her poison. Your son is 9, Mr. Webb. Accidents happen to children all the time. Playground injuries, car accidents, terrible tragedies. You should consider his safety when making decisions. Marcus felt rage flash white hot. She'd just threatened Dylan. Again. On camera. Clearly. Unmistakably. He forced his voice to stay calm. Mrs. Ashford, you're violating a restraining order and threatening a minor. On record. I'm simply expressing concern for child safety. If you interpret that as a threat, that's your paranoia. Sutton checked his watch. Mr. Webb, we're wasting time. Sign the papers or deal with consequences. Your choice. What if I've already dealt with the consequences? What if I've documented everything? Your harassment, your vandalism, your conspiracy with Vivian and Councilman Banning, your threats, all of it. What then? Sutton's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Documentation means nothing without proof of direct involvement. Plausible deniability. I'm a businessman. Vivian is an HOA president. If contractors working for my company committed vandalism, that's their criminal behavior, not mine. Even when you paid them to do it? Prove it. Marcus pulled out his phone, opened the recording app, hit stop. The timestamp showed 23 minutes of conversation. Texas is one-party consent for recording, I just did. Sutton lunged across the table, tried to grab the phone. Marcus was faster, pulled it back. Luke burst from the barn. Step back now. Siko now. Sutton froze, saw Luke, saw the size of him, the military bearing, the willingness to use force if necessary. Who the hell are you? Security, and you just committed assault on my client. Sutton's attorney was already on her phone, probably calling their own security or trying to get ahead of what was happening. Vivian stood panicking. This is entrapment. You set us up. No, ma'am. I invited you to a business meeting. You chose to confess to conspiracy, extortion, and threatening a child. That's on you. Jennifer stood now too, calm, professional, devastating. Mr. Sutton, Mrs. Ashford, I'm attorney Jennifer Chen, representing Mr. Webb. Everything said here today has been recorded on multiple devices and is currently uploading to secure cloud storage. You've admitted to a pattern of criminal harassment spanning multiple properties and multiple states. You've threatened a 9-year-old child. You've confessed to conspiracy with public officials. And you've made explicit threats of physical harm. She pulled out her phone, made a call on speaker. Sheriff Thompson, this is Jennifer Chen. You can come in now. Sirens, close, getting closer. Sutton's face went from arrogant to calculating to trapped in the span of seconds. 3 sheriff's vehicles pulled up. Deputies emerged, hands on weapons, professional, alert. Thompson approached the porch. Ms. Chen, Mr. Webb, what's the situation? These individuals have violated a restraining order, made criminal threats, and confessed to conspiracy and extortion. I have recordings of everything. I'm filing criminal complaints and requesting immediate arrest. Thompson looked at Sutton, at Vivian, recognition in his eyes. Mrs. Ashford, you're in violation of a court order. You're under arrest. This is business. He consented to the meeting. Step away from the table, ma'am. Vivian looked at Marcus with pure hatred. You think this is over? I'll destroy you. I have lawyers. I have money. No, ma'am. What you have is a recording of you threatening a child, multiple times. That's going to be hard to explain to a judge. As Thompson cuffed Vivian, more vehicles arrived. Not local sheriff, federal, FBI logos on the doors. Marcus felt confusion. This wasn't part of the plan. 2 agents approached. Professional, serious, credentials out. James Sutton, Vivian Ashford, FBI. You're both under arrest for racketeering, conspiracy, extortion, and fraud. Sutton's face drained of color. On what basis? We've been investigating Stone Ridge development for 18 months. Mr. Webb's complaint and evidence gave us final pieces we needed. You're part of a multi-state real estate fraud operation. You have the right to remain silent. Everything happened fast after that. Arrests, Miranda rights, multiple defendants cuffed and placed in different vehicles. Brenda trying to delete her camera footage before agents confiscated it as evidence. Marcus stood on his porch watching it unfold, surreal, like a movie, like something happening to someone else. Jennifer appeared beside him. You did it. You ended them. The FBI was already investigating? I called them 3 days ago, sent them everything Rose had compiled, everything you documented. They'd been building a case for months, but needed victim testimony and concrete evidence of pattern. You gave them both. Luke joined them, grinning. Brother, that was beautiful. Did you see Sutton's face when the feds showed up? Marcus watched Vivian being loaded into an FBI vehicle. She looked back at the ranch one last time, at the land her husband had bought, the dream she'd lost, the obsession that had destroyed her. For a second, Marcus felt something close to pity. Then he remembered Dylan's nightmares, the threats, the vandalism, the weaponized grief. Pity evaporated. How long will they be in custody? Jennifer checked her phone. Federal charges, no bail likely given flight risk and severity. Months before trial, years in prison if convicted, and they will be convicted. The evidence is overwhelming. News vans were already arriving. Word traveled fast. FBI raid, corruption bust. Veteran property owner's stand brings down development conspiracy. Marcus's phone started ringing. Media requests, interview offers, everyone wanting the story. He ignored it all. I need to call Dylan, tell him it's over, that he's safe. Jennifer nodded. Call him, bring him home, this is done. Marcus walked into the house, away from the chaos. Called Trish. It's over, they arrested everyone, FBI, it's really over. Dylan's voice in the background. Is that Daddy? Is he okay? Trish handed the phone to Dylan. Daddy? Hey, buddy, I'm fine. Everything's fine. The bad people are gone. You can come home. Really? We're safe now? Really, we're safe. This is our home. Nobody's taking it from us. Dylan's sob of relief broke Marcus's heart and healed it simultaneously. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, buddy. Come home. After hanging up, Marcus walked out to the memorial garden, stood among the wild flowers Dylan had planted, the stone they'd set together, Sarah's legacy. He pulled out his phone, opened the photo album, found his favorite picture of Sarah, taken on the day they'd first seen this property. Her standing in a field of wildflowers, smiling, radiant, full of dreams. "We did it, Sarah. We protected your dream. Dylan's safe. The ranch is ours. I kept my promise." He felt her presence. Or maybe just the memory of her. Either way, it was enough. The wind picked up, blew through the wildflowers, making them dance and sway, like Sarah was there, celebrating with him. Marcus stood there a long time, letting the reality sink in. It was over. The fight was done. Vivian would spend years in federal prison. Sutton, too. Stone Ridge Development was being dismantled. Councilman Banning was facing corruption charges and resignation. Total victory. But as the adrenaline faded, Marcus felt exhausted, hollowed out. He'd won, but the cost showed in every sleepless night, every moment of fear. Every time he checked on Dylan and found him crying from nightmares. Victory didn't erase trauma. It just ended the source. Now came the harder part. Healing, building, moving forward. Jennifer found him in the garden an hour later. "Media wants statements. FBI wants formal testimony. There's going to be weeks of legal proceedings." "I know. But the immediate danger is over. Vivian's in federal custody. No bail. Sutton, too. Your property is secure. The restraining order is now backed by federal charges. Dylan can sleep safely." Marcus nodded, felt the weight lift slightly. "Thank you for everything. You did the hard part. You stood when everyone else ran. You fought when fighting seemed impossible. You protected your family and exposed a criminal network. That's not me. That's you." She paused, studied him. "How are you, really?" Marcus thought about lying, saying he was fine, victorious, proud. Instead, he told the truth. Exhausted, relieved, scared that it's not really over, that somehow they'll find a way to hurt us still. That's normal. Trauma doesn't end when danger ends. Give yourself time to process. Get Dylan into therapy if the nightmares continue. Take care of yourself. The legal system will handle the rest. That evening, Trish brought Dylan home. Marcus met them at the gate, scooped his son into his arms, held him like he'd never let go. "We're home, buddy, really home for good." Dylan clung to him. "No more bad people. No more bad people." That night, Marcus tucked Dylan into bed, read him 3 chapters instead of 2, stayed until he fell asleep, watched him breathe, peaceful, safe, home. Then Marcus walked through the house, checked every lock, every window, old habits from combat zones, from months of hypervigilance. Luke was still there, offered to stay a few more days, just in case. Marcus accepted gratefully. They sat on the porch with beer, quiet, watching stars. "Hell of a fight," Luke said finally. "Yeah, you won. We won." Luke nodded. Brothers don't let brothers fight alone. Marcus felt emotion threaten to overwhelm. Gratitude, relief, exhaustion. He took a long drink to steady himself. "What do I do now?" "You live, you raise your son, you enjoy this land you fought for, you honor Sarah's memory by being happy. That's what you do now." It sounded simple. Marcus hoped it would be. His phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. "Congratulations on your victory. But remember, Vivian and Sutton have friends. People who don't forget. Watch your back." Marcus showed Luke. His friend's expression hardened. "Probably empty threat, trying to keep you scared. But I'll stick around a bit longer. Make sure nobody tests that theory." Marcus deleted the message, refused to let fear control him anymore. They'd won. Vivian was in federal custody facing years in prison. Sutton, too. The conspiracy was exposed. Dylan was safe. Whatever came next, they'd handle it, together. Because that's what survivors did. They kept moving forward. They protected what mattered. They refused to let evil win. Marcus looked at the ranch in the darkness. His land, his home, Sarah's dream, Dylan's future. Worth every minute of the fight. Worth every sacrifice. Worth everything. The news vans arrived before sunrise. Marcus woke to the sound of diesel engines and voices calling questions through megaphones. He looked out the bedroom window and counted 6 satellite trucks parked along the road outside his gate. Cameras pointed at the house. Reporters doing stand-ups with his ranch as backdrop. FBI bus, massive real estate fraud ring. Veterans property rights stand exposes corruption network. The story had gone viral overnight. National coverage. Marcus's face was on every news channel. The video of Vivian's arrest had been viewed 3 million times. Comments poured in from across the country. Support, outrage, demands for justice. Marcus had become a symbol. The little guy who stood up to corruption and won. David versus Goliath, property rights hero, defender of the American dream. He hated every second of it. Luke appeared in the doorway with coffee. They've been out there since 5 a.m. Want me to run them off? No. They're on public property. Let them stand there. I'm not giving interviews. They're going to camp out until you do. Then they'll be disappointed. Marcus checked on Dylan. His son was still asleep, peaceful, unaware that strangers were filming their home, that his father had become overnight news. He let him sleep. Kid deserved rest after everything he'd been through. The phone started ringing at 6:30. Publishers wanting book deals, producers wanting movie rights, news networks requesting exclusive interviews, morning shows offering 5-figure appearance fees. Marcus ignored it all, let the calls go to voicemail, turned off notifications. The only people he wanted to talk to were Jennifer, Rose, and Luke. Everyone else could wait. Jennifer called at 7:15. Have you seen the coverage? Hard to miss with 6 news vans outside. This is good for us. Public pressure means prosecutors can't go soft. Federal charges stick. And your credibility is established. Nobody's going to believe Vivian or Sutton when they try to claim you're unstable or lying. I don't care about my credibility. I care about Dylan getting back to normal. I know, but this attention serves a purpose. Use it. Make one statement. Controlled message. Then the media moves on to the next story. Marcus thought about it. Maybe she was right. Give them something so they'd leave. What would I say? Truth. You're a father who protected his home. You're not a hero. You're a citizen who stood up when institutions failed. You want justice for all the families Vivian victimized, and you want privacy to heal. When? This afternoon. I'll coordinate with a local station. 15-minute interview, professional, dignified. Then you're done. Marcus agreed reluctantly. Anything to make them go away. Dylan woke at 8 a.m. Marcus heard him in the bathroom, then footsteps to the kitchen. The pause when he looked out the window and saw the news trucks. Daddy, why are there so many people outside? Marcus joined him, poured orange juice, sat at the table. Remember how I told you the bad people got arrested? Well, a lot of other people want to know about it. News reporters, they want to tell the story. Are you famous now? I guess, for a little while, but it'll pass. People will forget and we can go back to normal. Dylan studied his father's face, reading him the way kids learn to read parents who'd been through trauma together. You don't like it? Being famous? No, buddy, I don't. I just wanted to protect our home, not be on TV. Can I go back to school? The question surprised Marcus. You want to go back, even with everything that happened? I miss my friends, and Mrs. Patterson, and I don't want to hide. You taught me that running away doesn't solve problems. 9 years old and already wiser than most adults. Marcus felt pride surge through the exhaustion. Okay, but I'm walking you in, talking to the principal, making sure everyone knows you're safe and this is over. They drove to school at 8:45. Marcus noticed the news van following them, keeping distance but documenting everything. He ignored it. The principal, Dr. Elizabeth Moreno, met them at the entrance, late 40s. Oh, warm smile, genuine concern in her eyes. Mr. Webb, Dylan, I'm so glad you're both safe. We've been following the news. I want you to know this school stands with you completely. Thank you. Dylan wanted to come back, get back to routine. Of course, I've spoken to all the teachers. Security is aware of the situation. If any media tries to enter campus, they'll be removed immediately. Dylan's safety is our priority. Dylan hugged Marcus goodbye and ran to join his friends on the playground. Marcus watched him integrate seamlessly, laughing, playing, like nothing had happened. Kids were resilient, but Marcus knew trauma didn't always show on the surface. He'd schedule therapy, make sure Dylan processed everything properly. Driving home, his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Mr. Webb, this is Elena Rodriguez. I live 3 counties over. I'm fighting similar HOA corruption. Your case just gave me hope. Can we talk? Ma'am, I appreciate that, but I'm not looking to become some kind of advocate or consultant. I understand, but please, just 5 minutes. I have 3 kids. The HOA president is doing exactly what Vivian did to you. Harassment, vandalism, threats. I don't know what to do. Seeing your story, knowing it's possible to win, That's everything to me. Marcus heard the desperation in her voice, remembered feeling exactly that way 6 weeks ago. Alone, overwhelmed, not sure if fighting was even possible. What's happening? She told him. The pattern was identical. HOA president with developer partner, targeting her property, making life unbearable. She documented everything, but didn't know what to do with the evidence. Contact Jennifer Chen in San Antonio. Tell her I referred you. She'll help. I can't afford an attorney. She works pro bono for cases like yours. She'll take it and use my case as blueprint. Document everything, stay legal, don't retaliate no matter how much you want to. Build your evidence and let them destroy themselves. Thank you. God bless you, Mr. Webb. After hanging up, Marcus realized his phone had 3 more voicemails. All similar. Property owners fighting HOA corruption. All asking for help. His fight had become bigger than one ranch, had exposed a systemic problem, given voice to people who thought they were alone. The responsibility felt heavy. The interview happened at 2 p.m. Professional crew. Experienced reporter named Sarah Mitchell. She'd done her homework, knew the case, asked intelligent questions. Mr. Webb, you've become a symbol of property rights and standing up to corruption. How does that feel? Uncomfortable. I'm not a symbol. I'm a father who protected his home. That's all. But your case has exposed a pattern of abuse spanning multiple states. Dozens of families have come forward saying they experienced similar harassment. Do you feel responsibility to help them? Marcus thought carefully. I feel responsibility to tell the truth about what happened to my family. If that helps others, I'm glad. But I'm not a crusader. I'm not looking to fight everyone's battles. I fought mine because I had to. What would you say to others facing similar situations? Document everything. Stay legal. Don't let anger make you stupid. And find good people to stand with you. I couldn't have won alone. Jennifer Chen, Rose Delgado, Luke Hernandez. They made victory possible. What about Vivian Ashford? Do you feel sympathy for her given her tragic history? Marcus paused. This was the question he'd been dreading. I understand grief. I lost my wife. Vivian lost her husband. Grief can break people, but it doesn't excuse cruelty. She chose to target my 9-year-old son, to weaponize child protection services, to vandalize a memorial garden. Those were choices. I can understand her pain without excusing her actions. Do you forgive her? I don't know yet. Ask me in a year when my son stops having nightmares. The interview ran that evening. Marcus watched it with Dylan, saw himself on screen, tired, serious, real. Dylan leaned against him. You looked good, Daddy, like a hero. I'm not a hero, buddy, just a dad. Heroes are just regular people who do hard things. That's what Mrs. Patterson says. Maybe the teacher was right. The next week brought unexpected developments. Federal prosecutors assigned to the case contacted Marcus. They needed his testimony, full deposition. Everything that happened, every threat, every incident. He'd be the primary witness in the racketeering case. Jennifer prepared him. They're going for RICO charges, racketeering influenced and corrupt organizations. It's serious federal crime. If convicted, Vivian and Sutton face 15 to 20 years minimum. How strong is the case? Extremely. They have your recordings, video evidence, financial records Rose provided, testimony from other victims, plus what they've uncovered investigating Stone Ridge, money laundering, tax fraud, bribery. This is way bigger than just harassing you. When's the trial? 6 months minimum, maybe longer. Federal cases move slowly, but that gives us time to prepare and them time to realize how screwed they are and potentially take plea deals. Would you recommend I accept a plea? Not my decision, that's up to prosecutors. But if they offer Vivian significant prison time and full restitution to victims, it might be worth considering. Saves you from testifying, gets justice faster. Marcus thought about facing Vivian in court, about reliving everything, about Dylan potentially having to testify about the nightmares and fear. I'll do whatever gets this over fastest while still delivering justice. Meanwhile, Ashford Heights was tearing itself apart. The community had split into factions. Some residents still defended Vivian, claimed she was set up, that Marcus had manipulated everything, that he was the real villain. Others demanded complete HOA reform, transparency, accountability. Rose led this faction. She'd been elected interim president and was implementing changes. Financial audits, open meetings, resident bill of rights. But the division ran deep. Families who'd been friends for years weren't speaking. Property values had dropped 15%. For sale signs appeared on dozens of lawns. Rose called Marcus weekly with updates. It's ugly, but necessary. Sometimes you have to break something completely before you can rebuild it right. Is it worth it? Yes, because the alternative was letting corruption continue, letting Vivian destroy more families. You stop that. These growing pains are temporary. The foundation we're building is permanent. Marcus hoped she was right. Dylan's therapy started in week 2. Child psychologist Dr. Emily Rodriguez, specialized in trauma, came highly recommended. After the first session, she pulled Marcus aside. Dylan is showing classic PTSD symptoms, hypervigilance, anxiety, intrusive thoughts. But he's also showing remarkable resilience. He feels safe with you, trusts you completely. That's huge. Will the nightmares stop? Eventually. Trauma healing isn't linear. Some days will be better than others. But with consistent support and processing, yes, he'll heal. How can I help? Keep doing what you're doing. Maintain routine. Provide security. Be honest about your own struggles. Kids mirror parental emotions. If you're healing, he'll heal. Marcus wasn't sure he was healing. Some nights he still woke at 3 a.m. checking cameras. Still felt hypervigilant driving through town. Still expected the next attack, even though logically he knew Vivian was in federal custody. Combat veterans understood. Threat response didn't turn off just because the threat was gone. The body remembered, stayed alert, prepared for danger that might never come. Luke recognized it. You're wound tight, brother. When's the last time you slept through the night? I don't remember. You need to talk to someone. Professional. You can't pour from empty cup. Dylan needs you healthy. Luke was right. Marcus made an appointment with a therapist who specialized in veteran issues and PTSD. Started processing his own trauma, the fear, the rage, the violation of having his home and family targeted. Slowly, incrementally, he started sleeping better. Week 3 brought a surprise visitor. Marcus was working in the barn when a rental car pulled up. Woman in her 60s got out, well-dressed, uncertain. Marcus approached cautiously. Can I help you? Mr. Webb, I'm Margaret Chen, no relation to Jennifer. I live in Ashford Heights. I signed the petition against you. I'm here to apologize. She looked genuinely ashamed, embarrassed. Ma'am, you don't need to drive out here for that. Yes, I do. I believed Vivian's lies. She told us you were dangerous, unstable, that your son was violent. I signed my name to those lies without fact-checking, without meeting you, without knowing the truth. That's on me. I'm sorry. Marcus saw the sincerity in her face, the courage it took to drive out here and admit fault. I appreciate that, really. Apology accepted. Is there anything I can do to make amends? Just help Rose rebuild the HOA into something better. Make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. Margaret nodded. I'm on the reform committee. We're writing new bylaws, checks and balances. No single person will ever have Vivian's power again. After she left, 3 more cars arrived over the next week. All Ashford Heights residents, all apologizing. Some brought baked goods. Others offered help with ranch work. All of them ashamed they'd believed Vivian's narrative without question. Marcus accepted each apology gracefully, held no grudges. People had been manipulated by someone skilled at manipulation. That wasn't their fault. But he also didn't forget. Trust, once broken, took time to rebuild. The deposition happened in week 4. Federal building in San Antonio. Marcus sat across from prosecutors and their investigators. Recounted everything. 4 hours of detailed testimony. Every incident, every threat, every violation. They recorded it all. Asked pointed questions. Challenged details to test credibility. By the end, Marcus felt wrung out. Exhausted from reliving the trauma. Jennifer was waiting when he emerged. How'd it go? Hard, but thorough. They know everything now. Good, that's what we need. Airtight testimony they can use in court. When do I find out about plea deals? Soon. Vivian's attorney reached out yesterday. She's facing the reality of 20 years federal prison. She wants to talk. Marcus felt something complicated. Relief that it might end faster. Disappointment that she might avoid full consequences. Anger that she thought she deserved mercy. What would a plea deal look like? Probably 8 to 12 years. Restitution to all victims, permanent ban from any HOA position, cooperation with federal investigation of other cases. It's significant time but less than trial conviction. What do prosecutors want? They want trial. This is a showcase case. Public corruption, real estate fraud. They can use it to send message and deter others. But if you're uncomfortable testifying, they'll consider the plea. Marcus thought about Dylan, about moving forward, about whether more years of Vivian's imprisonment would actually change anything, or just prolong the connection. I'll testify if needed. But if she offers genuine remorse and accepts real consequences, I won't fight a plea deal. This was never about revenge, just protecting my family. That's mature. More mature than most people could manage. Sarah taught me that holding on to anger hurts you more than the person you're angry at. I want justice, but I also want peace. Week 5 brought this community meeting at Ashford Heights. Rose had organized it. Healing circle for victims of Vivian's schemes. Marcus attended reluctantly. 12 families gathered. Each had stories. Tom Chen, whose wife left him after Vivian's harassment, destroyed their peace. The Rodriguez family forced to sell at loss after vandalism. The Hendersons, who'd owned Marcus's ranch before him and fled after their barn burned. One by one they shared pain, anger, relief that someone finally stopped her, gratitude toward Marcus. He sat listening, uncomfortable with the praise. He'd just defended his home. They'd all tried to do the same. The only difference was he'd had resources and allies, and maybe stubbornness that outlasted hers. When it was his turn to speak, Marcus kept it simple. I'm not special, I'm not a hero, I just refused to run. And I had people who stood with me, Jennifer, Rose, Luke, my neighbor Trish. Without them, I would have lost. So if there's any lesson, it's that. You can't fight corruption alone. You need good people. Build your team, document everything, stay legal, and don't give up. After the meeting, Tom Chen approached him. Thank you. Seriously. What you did, standing up when everyone else couldn't, that saved this community. My wife and I are trying to reconcile. Your victory gave us hope that good can win. Similar conversations happened with others. Marcus realized his fight had done more than protect his ranch. It had restored faith, proven that individuals could challenge powerful institutions and win. The responsibility still felt heavy, but maybe it was a weight worth carrying. Dylan's 8th week back at school brought progress. The nightmares decreased. 3 nights in a row he slept through. Marcus started sleeping better too. The hypervigilance faded incrementally. Life began feeling almost normal. Ranch work, school runs, therapy appointments, evening walks through the memorial garden, where wildflowers bloomed brighter than ever. Sarah's presence felt strong there. Marcus talked to her sometimes, updated her on Dylan, on the case, on the healing. He's doing well, growing strong, you'd be proud. The wind rustled through flowers. Marcus chose to believe she heard. Week 9 brought the plea offer. Jennifer called with details. Vivian's attorney submitted formal proposal. 12 years federal prison. Eligible for parole after 8 with good behavior. Full restitution to all documented victims. Estimated $400,000. Cooperation with FBI on related cases. Permanent ban from any HOA or property management position. Public apology. Public apology? Handwritten letter to you and each victim, plus statement in court accepting responsibility. No excuses, no justification, full admission of wrongdoing. Marcus thought about it. 12 years meant Vivian would be nearly 70 when released. Her life effectively over. Property seized to pay restitution. Reputation destroyed. Everything she'd built through the HOA gone. What about Sutton? Separate deal, 15 years, similar terms. Stone Ridge Development is being dissolved. Assets frozen, other executives facing charges. What do prosecutors recommend? They'll accept if you support it. Your testimony is crucial but not essential. They have enough evidence to convict without trial. Plea saves taxpayer money and guarantees punishment. Marcus sat with it, prayed about it, talked to Dylan in age-appropriate terms. Buddy, the lady who was mean to us might go to jail for a long time, but I have to decide if I want her to go for trial or accept a deal where she admits she was wrong. Will she say sorry? Yes, if I agree to the deal, she has to write us a letter saying sorry. Dylan thought about it seriously. Will sorry make the bad dreams stop? Probably not, but it might help us move on. Then tell her okay, but only if she really means it. Marcus called Jennifer that evening. I'll support the plea deal on one condition. I want to meet her, face to face, before she goes to prison. I need to know the apology is real, not just words her lawyer wrote. That's unusual, but I can arrange it. Supervised meeting, federal facility. You sure you want to do that? I need closure. So does Dylan. If she can look me in the eye and genuinely apologize, that's worth more than extra years in prison. The meeting was scheduled for week 10, Federal Detention Center in San Antonio. Marcus arrived alone. Jennifer waited in the lobby. You ready for this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. The interview room was sterile. Table, chairs, guard by the door. Vivian was brought in wearing orange jumpsuit. No makeup. Hair gray and unkempt. She'd aged a decade in 10 weeks. Their eyes met. Marcus saw something he hadn't expected. Shame. Real, genuine shame. They sat. Silence hung heavy. Finally, Vivian spoke. Her voice was quiet, broken. Thank you for agreeing to see me. I know I don't deserve it. No, you don't, but I'm here anyway. I want to tell you I'm sorry. For everything. For targeting your family. For threatening Dylan. For using your wife's death as a weapon. For the vandalism, all of it. I was wrong. Completely, inexcusably wrong. Marcus studied her face, looking for manipulation, for narcissism, for the woman who'd laughed while driving through Sarah's memorial garden. He saw none of that. Just broken woman who'd destroyed her own life through bitterness and obsession. Why? Why target a 9-year-old boy who'd already lost his mother? Tears ran down Vivian's face. Because seeing you happy on land that should have been mine made me insane with jealousy. Because I let grief turn me into a monster. Because I was so focused on what I'd lost that I became willing to destroy anyone who had what I wanted. That's not an excuse. No. It's an explanation, not an excuse. There is no excuse for what I did. I terrorized a child. I violated sacred ground. I became everything I used to hate, and now I'm paying the price. 12 years in prison. My reputation destroyed. Every relationship ruined. I deserve it all. Marcus felt something unexpected. Not forgiveness exactly, but understanding. He'd been where she was, consumed by grief, angry at the world. The difference was he'd chosen to honor Sarah's memory by protecting what she loved. Vivian had chosen to destroy others because of what she'd lost. How is Dylan? She asked quietly. Healing, slowly. He still has nightmares sometimes, but he's strong, resilient. He'll be okay. I'm glad. I dream about him, about what I did. It haunts me more than anything. If I could take it back, erase those moments, I would, but I can't. So all I can offer is this. I'm sorry, deeply, truly sorry. Not because my lawyer told me to say it, because it's true. Marcus believed her, could hear the genuine remorse. The woman before him wasn't the narcissistic HOA tyrant. That persona had crumbled. What remained was just broken human being facing consequences. I'm not going to say I forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I accept your apology. And I hope prison gives you time to find peace with who you became and why. It's more mercy than I deserve. Thank you. As Marcus left, he felt lighter. Not because the apology fixed anything, but because seeing Vivian's genuine remorse closed a chapter. She wasn't a monster. Just a person who'd made terrible choices and would spend years paying for them. That was enough. He called Dylan from the car. Hey, buddy, I met with the lady who was mean to us. She said sorry, for real. Did you believe her? Yeah, I did. Good. Now can we stop thinking about her and just be happy? Out of the mouths of children. Wisdom so simple adults forgot it. Yes, buddy, we can stop thinking about her and just be happy. The plea deal was finalized in week 11. Vivian pled guilty to all charges, sentencing scheduled for 3 months out. Sutton took similar deal. Other Stone Ridge executives accepted various plea agreements. The federal investigation uncovered 37 properties across 4 states, acquired through similar harassment schemes. Estimated damages over $12 million. Victims' compensation fund established. Marcus's portion would be $40,000 for property damage and legal fees. He donated it all to a legal fund Jennifer established, helping other property owners fight HOA corruption. Sarah would have approved. Ashford Heights continued healing. Rose's reforms took hold. Transparent budgets, term limits for board members, dispute resolution procedures. The community began attracting new families. Property values started recovering. Some of Vivian's loyalists moved away, couldn't accept the new normal. That was fine. Better to lose people attached to corruption than keep them and enable it. Marcus received fewer calls from reporters. The story was old news. Media moved on to the next crisis. The news vans disappeared. His life returned to private. Exactly what he wanted. Dylan's progress continued. Nightmares down to once a week. Grades improving, making friends, laughing more. The shadow of trauma lifting day by day. Marcus watched his son heal and felt his own healing accelerate. They were going to be okay. Better than okay. They were going to thrive. 3 months after the arrests, Marcus stood in Sarah's memorial garden at sunset. Dylan played nearby with a soccer ball. The wildflowers were in full bloom, purple and gold and vibrant life. He pulled out his phone, opened the photo of Sarah in the same field 3 years ago. Before cancer, before loss, when life was full of possibility. We made it, Sarah. The ranch is safe. Dylan's healing. Justice was served. Your dream survived. The wind picked up. Flowers danced. Marcus felt her approval, her love, her presence in everything beautiful around him. Dylan ran over, sweaty and happy. Daddy, watch this! He demonstrated some elaborate soccer trick, fell on his face, got up laughing. Marcus laughed with him, pure, uncomplicated, joy. This was what he'd fought for. Not revenge, not vindication. Just this, the freedom to raise his son in peace, to honor his wife's memory, to live the dream they'd planned together. The battle had been hard, the cost high, but standing here watching Dylan play in Sarah's garden, Marcus knew it was worth everything. They'd won, not just legally, but spiritually. They'd chosen to protect love instead of surrendering to fear, to fight for what mattered instead of running from what was hard. And in doing so, they discovered strength they didn't know they had, community they didn't know existed, hope that survived even the darkest moments. Marcus looked at the ranch around him, his land, his home, his and Dylan's and Sarah's, forever. Nobody would ever take this from them again, he was sure of it. 6 months passed like water flowing downstream, steady, inevitable, carrying away the sharp edges of trauma and leaving something smoother behind. Marcus stood at the kitchen window watching Dylan and 3 friends play soccer in the south pasture. The memorial garden bloomed around them, wildflowers in full spring glory, purple and gold and vibrant with life. The boys dodged between flower beds, careful not to damage what Dylan's mother had inspired. The nightmares had stopped 3 weeks ago. Dylan slept through the night now, woke up smiling, ran outside to do chores without being asked. The shadow that had followed him for months had lifted completely. Dr. Rodriguez had signed off on therapy 2 weeks prior. He's processed the trauma, built resilience. He's a remarkably healthy kid, Mr. Webb. You did good. Marcus had done his own therapy, worked through the hypervigilance, the combat mindset that wouldn't turn off, the guilt about dragging his son through hell. His therapist, a former Marine who understood what it meant to protect family at all costs, had helped him see it differently. You didn't drag him through hell. You led him through it. There's a difference, and you came out the other side together. That's victory. The ranch had never looked better. 75 acres of Texas hill country in perfect spring bloom. Cattle healthy and multiplying. Vegetable garden producing more than they could eat. Dylan's 4-H projects winning ribbons at county fair. Everything Sarah had dreamed about. Thriving. Luke had gone back to San Antonio 3 months ago, but called weekly. You need anything? I'm 2 hours away. Don't hesitate. I know, brother. Thank you. That's what family does. Rose Delgado had transformed Ashford Heights. The community was unrecognizable from Vivian's reign. Transparent finances, quarterly meetings with full resident participation, dispute resolution committee. Property values had recovered and exceeded pre-scandal levels. New families moved in. Young couples with children. People who valued community without corruption. She'd invited Marcus to the annual spring barbecue. He'd declined politely. The wounds had healed, but some distances needed maintaining. Dylan had friends from school who lived in Ashford Heights. That was connection enough. Jennifer Chen had become something more than his attorney. They'd had coffee 3 times in the past month, conversations that started about legal updates and drifted into personal territory. She was smart, funny, understood what he'd been through because she'd been there with him. After the 3rd coffee, she'd been direct. Marcus, I like you, as more than a client. If you're not ready, I understand, but I wanted you to know. He'd been honest. I don't know if I'm ready. Sarah's been gone almost 2 years, but sometimes it feels like yesterday. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. Her patience meant everything. No pressure, no expectation, just gentle possibility. The sentencing had happened 4 months ago. Marcus had attended. sat in the federal courtroom and watched Vivian Ashford stand before Judge Patricia Valdez to receive her fate. The judge had been thorough, read every victim statement, detailed every crime, then delivered sentence with gravity that matched the offense. Mrs. Ashford, you abused a position of trust. You terrorized families. You targeted a child who had already suffered the loss of his mother. You showed no mercy, no compassion, no recognition of boundaries or basic human decency. The court sentences you to 12 years federal imprisonment. You will serve a minimum of 8 years before parole eligibility. You will pay full restitution to all victims. You are permanently banned from any position of authority in homeowner associations or property management. Vivian had stood there accepting it. No outburst, no protest, just quiet acknowledgement that she'd destroyed her own life. Before leaving the courtroom, she'd looked at Marcus one last time, mouthed 2 words, "I'm sorry." He'd nodded, not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. She was paying the price. Justice was served. That was enough. Sutton had received 15 years. Other Stone Ridge executives got various sentences. The company was dissolved, assets seized, victims compensated. The case had set precedent. 3 other similar prosecutions were underway in different states. Marcus's fight had exposed a nationwide pattern, changed how federal prosecutors looked at HOA corruption and real estate fraud. He testified before a congressional committee last month, Homeland Security Subcommittee investigating property rights and corruption, told his story to senators who actually listened and promised legislative action. Mr. Webb, your courage has illuminated a problem we didn't fully understand. Because of you, thousands of families will be protected from similar abuse. It felt surreal. All he'd wanted was to protect his home. Somehow that had become a national movement. Dylan appeared at the kitchen door, sweaty and grinning. "Daddy, can Jake and Marcus and Tommy stay for dinner, please?" Marcus looked at his son. Healthy, happy, surrounded by friends. Everything a 9-year-old should be. "Sure, buddy. Call their parents and make sure it's okay." Dylan whooped and ran back outside. Marcus heard him yelling to his friends. Pure joy. The sound of childhood reclaimed. He pulled out his phone, texted Jennifer. "Dylan's having friends for dinner. Want to join? Nothing fancy. Burgers and chaos." Her response came 30 seconds later. "I love chaos. What time?" 6. "I'll bring dessert." Marcus smiled. Small steps, easy moments, building something new without erasing what came before. He started prepping burgers. The kitchen Sarah had designed, the home she'd helped him choose. Her presence was everywhere, but it didn't hurt anymore. It comforted, like she was watching, approving, happy they'd protected what she'd loved. The doorbell rang at 5:45. Marcus wiped his hands and walked to the front door, opened it expecting Jennifer. Instead, a woman in her late 20s stood there, professional clothes, uncertain smile. She looked familiar, but Marcus couldn't place her. "Mr. Webb, I'm Allison Lancaster, Vivian's niece. We met once briefly. May I come in?" Marcus remembered now. The warning about Sutton, about permanent solutions. She'd tried to help. Of course. They sat on the porch. Allison held a folder, nervous energy radiating from her. "I'm sorry to show up unannounced. I have something for you. From my aunt." She opened the folder, pulled out an envelope, handwritten address, Marcus Webb and Dylan Webb. "She wrote this 3 weeks ago. Asked me to deliver it personally. I've been working up the courage. I know you have every right to refuse it." Marcus took the envelope, felt the weight of it. Not physically heavy, but emotionally substantial. "What is it?" "A letter. To you and Dylan. About this ranch, about Uncle Robert, about everything. She wanted you to know the full story, not as excuse, just as truth." Marcus held the envelope. Didn't open it. Not sure he wanted to. Allison continued. "She's different now. Prison changed her. Or maybe it just broke down the walls she'd built. She goes to therapy, takes medication for depression. She's not the person who terrorized you. I'm not saying that to make you feel sorry for her, just to let you know. The monster is gone. What's left is just broken woman trying to accept what she did." "How is she really?" Allison's eyes filled with tears. "Struggling. Some days are better than others. She has no visitors except me. All her friends abandoned her. She's completely alone. But she says she deserves it. Says isolation is part of the punishment." Marcus thought about that. Vivian Ashford, once powerful HOA president with connections and influence. Now federal prisoner eating alone in cafeteria, sleeping in cell, years of isolation ahead. I don't want her to suffer, Marcus said quietly. I wanted justice, not cruelty. I know, that's why she wrote this. She wanted you to understand that what you did, standing up to her, it saved her soul even while destroying her life. She needed to be stopped. You stopped her. In some weird way, she's grateful. After Allison left, Marcus sat with the letter. Didn't open it immediately, just held it. Processing. Jennifer arrived at 6, saw him on the porch with the envelope, sat beside him. What's that? He explained. Vivian's niece, the letter, the update on her condition. Are you going to read it? Eventually, not sure when. Jennifer nodded. Understood. Some things needed time. Dylan and his friends erupted from the barn, laughing, chasing each other. Jennifer watched them and smiled. He's doing so well. Yeah, finally, took long enough. Trauma healing isn't linear, but he got there because he has good dad. Marcus felt warmth at that. Simple validation from someone he was starting to care about. Dinner was chaos. 4 9-year-old boys telling stories over each other, laughing at jokes only kids found funny. Jennifer fit in seamlessly. Asked them about school, their interests, their dreams. They loved her immediately. After the friends' parents picked them up, Dylan hugged Jennifer goodnight. You should come over more. You're nice. She smiled. I'd like that. After Dylan went to bed, Marcus and Jennifer sat on the porch, stars emerging in darkening sky, comfortable silence between them. I'm scared, Marcus said finally. Of what? Of this. Us. Whatever this is becoming. I love Sarah so completely. The idea of loving someone else feels like betrayal. Jennifer took his hand. Gentle. No pressure. Love isn't finite. Loving someone new doesn't diminish what you had with Sarah. It honors it. She taught you how to love deeply. That capacity doesn't die with her. It grows. How are you so wise? Divorce teaches you things. My ex-husband thought love was ownership, controlling, limiting. It took me years to learn that real love is expansive, generous, wanting the other person to thrive even if it's not with you. Marcus squeezed her hand. Sarah would have liked you. I wish I could have met her. They sat until Jennifer needed to drive home. At her car, she kissed his cheek. Quick, sweet. Promise of more when he was ready. Marcus watched her taillights disappear. Felt something he hadn't felt in 2 years. Hope. Not just for survival, for actual happiness. Inside, he finally opened Vivian's letter. Sat at the kitchen table, read by lamplight. The handwriting was shaky, emotional. Dear Marcus and Dylan, I don't expect you to read this. You owe me nothing. Not your time, not your attention. Certainly not forgiveness. But I needed to write it anyway. Robert bought your ranch in spring of 2006. We'd been married 4 years. He was my everything. We couldn't have children, so we poured our dreams into that land. Hours talking about the house we'd build, the life we'd have, growing old together watching sunsets over wildflowers. He died in October 2008. Construction accident. Scaffolding collapsed. He was gone instantly. I sold the ranch 2 months later to pay his debts. Medical bills from the accident, business loans. It destroyed me. Not just losing him, losing our future. Losing the last piece of him. I never recovered. I built walls, accumulated power through the HOA because control was all I had left. When you bought the ranch and started living the dream Robert and I had planned, something broke in me. Jealousy, rage, grief I'd never processed. I made you the enemy, made Dylan the enemy, used your wife's death as weapon because misery loves company. I became monster. Did things I can never take back, hurt people I can never make whole. There's no excuse. I just wanted you to know why, not to justify, just to explain. You did the right thing. Standing up to me, fighting back, exposing what I'd become. I needed to be stopped, and you stopped me. In some terrible way, you saved me from becoming even worse. Prison is hard, lonely. I deserve every second. But it's also given me time to think, to face who I became, to grieve properly for the first time in 12 years. I'm sorry for everything, for terrorizing your child, for violating your wife's memorial, for trying to steal your dream. You did nothing to deserve any of it. I hope Dylan is healing. I hope the nightmares stop. I hope he grows up strong and good like his father. I hope he never becomes what I became, bitter, cruel, willing to hurt others because I was hurting. And I hope you find happiness. Real happiness, the kind Robert and I had, the kind Sarah wanted for you. You deserve it. You earned it. By being better than me when it would have been easy to become like me. Live the dream, Marcus. For Sarah, for Dylan, for everyone who lost theirs. Prove that good can win, that integrity matters, that love survives even when people don't. Thank you for stopping me. I mean that. Vivian. Marcus read it twice. Felt complicated emotions. Anger at what she'd done, sadness for what she'd lost, relief that she finally understood, hope that she'd find some peace in the years ahead. He folded the letter carefully, put it in the drawer with Sarah's journal, part of the story. Not the whole story, but important nonetheless. That night, he dreamed of Sarah, first time in months. They were in the memorial garden, wildflowers everywhere. She was smiling. You did good, Marcus. Protected our dream, raised our son right. I'm proud. I miss you. I know, but you're allowed to be happy again. I want you to be happy. Dylan needs you happy. Promise me you'll try. I promise. She faded into the wildflowers, became part of the wind and sun and growing things. Not gone, transformed, present in everything beautiful. Marcus woke with tears on his face, but they weren't sad tears. They were release, permission. Sarah telling him to live fully, to honor her by thriving, not just surviving. He checked on Dylan. His son slept peacefully, no nightmares, no fear, just healthy boy dreaming whatever 9-year-olds dreamed about. Marcus walked outside. Dawn breaking over the ranch, pink and gold light touching everything. The memorial garden, the barn, the pastures where cattle grazed, the home they'd fought to keep. His phone buzzed. Text from Jennifer. Good morning, coffee this week? He typed back, dinner instead? I'll cook. Dylan wants you to come over again. I'd love that. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Marcus, I know this is complicated. We can take it as slow as you need. I appreciate that. But I think I'm ready to stop being scared. Sarah would want me to be happy. You make me happy. Her response was immediate. You make me happy too. Marcus smiled, put the phone away, walked to the memorial garden, knelt among the wildflowers Dylan had planted for his mother. Sarah, I'm moving forward, not forgetting, never forgetting, but living like you wanted. I hope that's okay. The wind stirred the flowers. Marcus chose to believe it was her answer. Yes. Live, thrive, be happy. I'm always with you. He stood, looked at the ranch in morning light, everything they'd built, everything they'd protected, everything that waited ahead. The fight was over. The wounds healing, the future opening like flowers toward sun. A year ago, he'd been broken widower dragging traumatized son to ranch they could barely afford. Fighting corruption, facing threats, wondering if they'd survive. Now he stood on secure land with healed son and the possibility of love again. Community restored, justice served, dreams protected. They'd not just survived, they'd won, in every way that mattered. Dylan appeared on this porch, bedhead, pajamas. Daddy, I'm hungry. Pancakes? With chocolate chips? Sure, buddy. They walked inside together. Marcus started breakfast while Dylan set the table. Easy morning routine, normal, peaceful. Everything they'd fought for distilled into simple moment of father and son making pancakes. The following Saturday brought the Community Spring Festival at Ashford Heights. Rose had convinced Marcus to attend. It's been 6 months. The community wants to move forward. Your presence helps. He'd agreed reluctantly. Dylan was excited. His friend Tommy lived there. There'd be games and food and other kids. They arrived at noon. The community center was transformed. Banners, booths, families everywhere. Drastically different from the tense, divided neighborhood of months ago. Rose met them at the entrance. Marcus! Dylan, so glad you came! People approached throughout the afternoon, shaking his hand, thanking him. Some apologized again for believing Vivian's lies. Others just wanted to say they appreciated what he'd done. Marcus accepted it gracefully, uncomfortable with praise, but understanding its importance. These people needed to acknowledge what happened, to express gratitude, to close that chapter too. Tom Chen found him by the barbecue. Marcus, I want you to meet my wife Linda. We reconciled, got remarried last month. Linda was warm, genuine. Tom told me everything. What Vivian did to us, what you did to stop her. Thank you. You saved our family. I just protected mine. I'm glad it helped yours. It did more than help, it gave us hope. Proof that standing up matters. We're moving forward because you showed it was possible. Sarah Mitchell, Dylan's friend Jake's mom, approached with homemade pie. For you! Thank you for making our community safe again. One by one, people who'd been strangers became neighbors, not close friends. Marcus wasn't ready for that, but friendly, respectful, building something healthier than what Vivian had created. Dylan played with 6 other kids, laughing, running, completely comfortable. No trace of the fear that had haunted him months ago. Marcus watched his son and felt profound gratitude. They'd come through hell and emerged whole. That was victory money couldn't buy. Jennifer arrived at 3. Dylan spotted her and ran over. "Miss Jennifer, you came!" Of course, your dad invited me. Dylan grabbed her hand and dragged her toward his friends. "Come meet everybody." Rose appeared beside Marcus. Knowing smile. "She's good for you." It's complicated. Love always is. But don't let fear of dishonoring Sarah stop you from living. She'd want you happy. How do you know? Because I knew her. She came to my shop buying flowers before she got sick. She talked about you. About Dylan, about this ranch, about her dreams. One thing she said stuck with me. If something happens to me, I hope Marcus finds love again. He's too good to be alone. Marcus felt tears threaten. She probably said that? She did. She loved you enough to want you happy even without her. That's real love. Honor it by living fully. The festival wound down at sunset. Marcus and Dylan walked Jennifer to her car. Dylan hugged her goodbye. "See you for dinner Tuesday?" "Absolutely." After he ran back to play, Jennifer turned to Marcus. "He's wonderful. You've done an amazing job with him." "We've done it together. He's stronger than me." "He learned that strength from you." She kissed him. Not his cheek this time, his lips. Gentle, sweet, full of possibility. "I'm falling for you, Marcus Webb. Just thought you should know." His heart raced, terrified and exhilarated simultaneously. "I'm falling for you too." "Good, because I'm planning to stick around." That night, tucking Dylan into bed, his son surprised him. "Daddy, I like Miss Jennifer. She makes you smile." "She makes me happy. Do you think Mommy would like her?" Marcus thought about Rose's words, about Sarah's journal, about the dream where she'd given him permission to move forward. "Yeah, buddy, I think Mommy would like her a lot, and I think she'd be happy we're happy." "Good, because I want you to be happy. You were sad for so long after Mommy died. It's nice seeing you smile again." Marcus hugged his son. 9 years old and already understanding things most adults struggled with. "I love you, buddy." "Love you too, Daddy." Alone later, Marcus sat in Sarah's office, pulled out her journal one last time, read the entry he'd returned to often. "If something happens to me, remember this. Protecting our family isn't just about fighting enemies. It's about knowing what's worth fighting for. Our home, our values, Dylan's future. Those things are worth everything. But don't let the battle make you bitter. Stay strong, but stay good. Teach Dylan that winning with integrity matters more than just winning." He'd done that, fought with integrity, won with honor, protected what mattered without becoming what he fought against. Now Sarah's words gave him permission for the next chapter. "Live fully, love deeply. That's how you honor me." Marcus closed the journal, put it back on the shelf, not abandoning it, just not needing it as much. He carried Sarah's wisdom in his heart now, didn't need to reread it constantly. She'd become part of him, part of how he parented Dylan, part of how he made decisions, part of how he loved. That would never change. Even as he opened his heart to Jennifer, even as he built new future, Sarah would always be foundation, first love, mother of his child, woman who'd taught him what mattered. His phone buzzed, text from Jennifer. "Thank you for today, for including me, for letting me be part of your life. Thank you for being patient, for understanding, for making me believe happiness is possible again. It is possible. We'll prove it together." The next morning, Marcus and Dylan worked the memorial garden, planting new flowers, maintaining what existed, creating beauty in space dedicated to memory. Dylan worked quietly, thoughtful, finally spoke. "Daddy, I don't remember Mommy's voice anymore. Is that bad?" Marcus's heart broke a little, but he understood. Time did that. Softened sharp edges, blurred details. "No, buddy, it's not bad. It's natural. But we have videos. We can watch them whenever you want to remember." "I remember other things, though. How she smelled, how her hugs felt, how she laughed at my jokes. Those are the important memories, the feeling memories, Those last longer than words. They worked in silence. Then Dylan asked the question Marcus had been waiting for. Is Miss Jennifer going to be like my new mom? Marcus chose his words carefully. Nobody will ever replace your mom. But Jennifer could become someone important in our lives, someone who loves us and we love back. Would that be okay with you? Dylan thought about it seriously. I think so, as long as you're happy and she's nice to us. She makes me very happy, and she's very nice to us. Then it's okay with me. Simple as that. Child's wisdom cutting through adult complexity. Permission given. Future blessed. They finished the garden work, stood back admiring their effort. Wildflowers blooming everywhere. Monument to Sarah. Testament to her dreams. Living memorial that grew more beautiful each year. It's pretty, Dylan said. Your mom would love it. I think she does love it. I think she's here, in the flowers, in the wind, watching us. Marcus pulled his son close. I think you're right. That evening, Marcus called Jennifer. I want you to meet Dylan properly, not just friendly dinners. I want him to know we're together, that you're important to me, to us. Are you sure? I'm sure. Sarah would approve. Dylan approves. I approve. That's everyone who matters. Then yes, I'd be honored. They set date for the following weekend. Real introduction. Dylan knowing this was his father's girlfriend. Understanding things were changing, growing, moving forward. Marcus felt peace about it. Not guilt, not betrayal, just rightness. Like Sarah was guiding him toward this. Wanting him happy. Wanting Dylan to have positive female presence. The weekend arrived clear and beautiful. Jennifer came for lunch, brought ingredients to cook together. She and Dylan made salad while Marcus grilled. Easy, natural, like they'd done this 100 times. After eating, Dylan asked if he could show Jennifer his room, his projects, his treasures. She followed him enthusiastically, genuinely interested, not performing. Marcus listened to them upstairs. Dylan explaining his rock collection, his drawings, his model planes. Jennifer asking questions, praising his creativity, being present. When they came back down, Dylan hugged her. Spontaneous, genuine. I'm glad you're here. Me too, Dylan. After he went outside to play, Jennifer turned to Marcus, eyes bright with emotion. He's amazing. You've raised an incredible human. We're still working on it, long way to go. You're doing it right. And I'd like to help, if you'll let me. Marcus pulled her close, kissed her properly, not hiding, not hesitating, choosing happiness, choosing future, choosing to honor Sarah by living fully like she'd wanted. I'd like that very much. Over the following months, they built something real. Jennifer integrated into their lives. Family dinners, weekend adventures, Dylan's soccer games. Normal, beautiful routine of people becoming family. She never tried to replace Sarah, respected her memory, encouraged Dylan to talk about his mother, helped Marcus maintain the memorial garden. Understanding that loving them meant loving Sarah's legacy too. A year after the arrest, the three of them stood in that garden at sunset. Wildflowers in peak bloom, Dylan between them holding both their hands. Should we say something? Dylan asked, like a prayer or something? Marcus looked at Jennifer. She nodded. He spoke to the flowers, to the wind, to Sarah's presence. Thank you for this, for Dylan, for the dream you gave us, for teaching us what matters. We're living the life you wanted, being happy like you hoped. You're still with us, always will be. Dylan added his own words. I love you, Mommy. I remember you. And I'm okay now. We're all okay. Jennifer squeezed both their hands, said nothing, didn't need to. Her presence was statement enough. Love continuing, life growing, dreams evolving but never forgotten. They walked back to the house together, three people who'd found each other through tragedy, who'd built family from broken pieces, who proved that endings could become beginnings if you were brave enough to try. Marcus looked at his ranch, at Dylan laughing, at Jennifer smiling, at wildflowers blooming in memory of woman he'd loved, and woman who taught him to love again. This was victory. Not just legal triumph over corruption, but personal triumph over grief, over fear, over the belief that happiness died when Sarah died. She'd given him permission to live, and he'd finally accepted it. The fight for the ranch had saved more than property. It had saved his soul, given him purpose when grief threatened to consume him, forced him to be strong for Dylan, connected him to community, led him to Jennifer. Standing here now, whole and healed and happy, Marcus understood. The battle had been worth it. Every sleepless night, every moment of fear, every sacrifice. Because on the other side was this: life, love, legacy, future. Everything worth fighting for, everything Sarah had dreamed, everything he'd promised to protect. And he had. They had. Together.